Douluo, starting with a 9-curve vine dragon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126 Return to Yufeng City. 3 days later at the gate of Yufeng City, there were groups of convoys of pedestrians coming and going, forming a line that seemed to have no end. In the middle of the team, the curtains at the window of a carriage were lifted, and an old man with green hair leaned out of the carriage and looked out. Seeing the long line in front of him, Dugubo complained, "Phew, what bad luck. Why did I have to run into something like this? The line ahead is still so long. It will take at least half an hour for us to enter the city, sir. If it were me, we shouldn't have wasted 3 days in Dian capital city, otherwise we wouldn't have run into the Fengjian sect's troubles when we arrived at Yufeng City." As he spoke, Dugubo lowered the curtains and turned to look at Lin Rong, who was practicing silently on the seat on the left side of the carriage. After hearing this complaint, Lin Rong continued to practice the washing Marrow Sutra, but he was able to focus a little and said, "Why are you teaching me how to do things? I dare not." Upon hearing this, Dugubo answered reflexively, and his neck involuntarily shrank like a frightened quail. After leaving Dianju City, they were on their way to Yufeng City in a carriage when they learned something from passers-by on the road. The current leader of Fengjian sect will abdicate the position of leader to his eldest son, who recently broke through to the Douluo realm on his 80th birthday for the Fengjian sect. This was a double happy event. In order to celebrate this happy event, and also to publicize the style and heritage of their Fengjian sect as one of the 4 lower sects, the leader of the sect announced publicly that on the birthday, all the expenses of diners in all restaurants and hotels in Yufeng City would be charged to the Fengjian sect's account. The news broke a month ago and has spread to several surrounding cities. In the meantime, today is the 80th birthday of the Fengjian sect's old leader. A large number of people from nearby towns have come to Yufeng City to join in the fun and to enjoy the free banquets in the major restaurants in the city. This is also the reason why the city gate is so congested today. Yufeng City was just around the corner. Dugubo became extremely excited and couldn't calm down for a long time when he thought that the poison that had plagued him all his life would soon be cured. If the mind is not calm, it is impossible to meditate to pass the time. Therefore, Dugubo could only lean against the edge of the car window and listen to the gossip of people queuing outside the gate to pass the bar. In process of waiting to enter the city, as the carriage moved slowly forward, the sound of people chatting in the team drifted into the carriage and reached the ears of the 3 people sitting there. Among the many idle chatter, a conversation of a passerby caught Lin Rong's attention. The cardinal of the main hall of the Wuhan Hall of Yufeng City was invited by the Fengjian sect to personally attend the banquet held by the Fengjian sect. This made Lin Rong think. Inviting the bishop of the spirit hall to attend the internal gathering of the sect, does this mean that the Wind Sword sect has already secretly surrendered to the spirit hall? Alice, if I had known about this earlier, I should have asked Yuguan Ghost before leaving Dianju City. As BB Dong's confidants, they must be very clear about this kind of thing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether this matter is true or not. We still have to do what we have to do. Of the 7 major sects in the original novel, except for the top 3 sects and the White Tiger sect, one of the bottom 4 sects, the other 3 sects of the bottom 4 all defected to the Spirit Hall without exception. Therefore, regardless of whether the Fengjian sect has sided with the Spirit Hall at this moment, they will definitely be his enemy in the future. Although he is still young and incapable of shaking the behemoth that is the Spirit Hall, he is more than capable of cutting off some vines that are clinging to the big tree of the Spirit Hall. The situation on the mainland is still relatively stable now, and the water is not turbid enough. In that case, let him stir the stagnant water even more turbid. After he subdues the Pazi clan, he will destroy the Fengjian sect. This kind of thing, which happens easily, will not only make the situation on the mainland more turbulent, but also make Yang Wudi, who harbors hatred towards the Spirit Hall, more loyal. It can be said to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Moreover, he had given away a lot of the soul bones he had at his disposal, and now there were only 3 of the 6 10,000-year soul bones left. It was just the right time to plunder the Fengjian sect to make some money back. As one of the lower 4 sects, I hope that Fengjian sect's foundation will not disappoint him. Time passed little by little. After waiting in line for more than an hour, the carriage they were riding in finally drove through the city gate and headed towards the southern area of Yufeng City, where the Pazi clan was located. Perhaps because there are fewer restaurants and hotels in the south district, the streets in this area are not as congested as those in the east, west and north districts there were not many pedestrians on the wide street. This allowed the carriage they were riding in to travel smoothly on the street. And arrived at the gate of the Pazi clan's mansion. Without any hindrance, Lin Rong got off the carriage and stepped onto this familiar and quiet street again. Then, seeing Dugubo standing in front of the door without making any movement, he ordered, "What are you standing there for?" Knock on the door. Hearing this, Dugubo subconsciously glanced at the coachman behind him, thinking, aren't these kinds of things usually done by servants? But even though he thought this in his heart, he still obediently pulled the door knocker and knocked on the door, following the sound of subtle footsteps, the door opened soon and a young man in cloth walked out. This young man was the one who opened the door and showed the way for Lin Rong when he visited the Pazi clan 4 years ago. Although Dugubo didn't know them, when he saw Lin Rong and the old butler behind him, his surprised tone clearly showed that he was remembering what happened 4 years ago. "Please wait a moment, sir. Let me go in and pass the message." After saying this, without waiting for Lin Rong and his group to react, he closed the door and walked hurriedly into the mansion. While waiting, Dugubo asked curiously, "Sir, you have been here before, but why didn't you destroy the Pazi clan at that time?" Dugubo closed his mouth in dismay when he was halfway through his words. Given this person's character, there was only one reason why he failed to subdue the Pazi clan at that time, and that was that he was not strong enough. Seeing that Dugubo shut his mouth tactfully and did not continue speaking, Lin Rong just glanced at him lightly without saying anything. After being glanced at by him, Dugubo also laughed dryly to ease the awkward atmosphere. Not long after, the young man who went to pass the message came back, opened the door, bowed to Lin Rong, and said, "This distinguished guest, my family leader invites you." The carriage had already been put into the soul guide, and someone had arranged for a coachman. Lin Rong, the old housekeeper, and Dugubo were led by the young man to the reception room in the mansion. In the living room, when Yang Wudi saw the three of them coming in, his eyes fell directly on Lin Rong's hands. Seeing that he had empty hands, his expectant look instantly dimmed, and he said with a hint of regret, "Nothing. I thought you would bring some rare herbs for me to make medicine with during this visit." This statement was very straightforward and in line with Yang Wudi's drug-obsessed personality. "What is the taste?" Afterwards, Yang Wudi sniffed the air hard with his nose, then looked at Dugubo, who was emitting a faint fishy smell, and saw through the situation of the person in front of him at a glance. "It's incredible. He can still survive after being poisoned like this. There really are all kinds of strange things in this world." As he spoke, Yang Wudi walked forward, circled around Dugubo, carefully looked at the humanoid poison carrier in front of him, and commented, "Tisk, tisk, tisk, green hair and green eyes. Such a deep green. How long did it take for the poison to soak into it to become like this?" This fishy smell is undoubtedly the venom of the green phosphorus snake. In the whole world, the only person who possesses such a highly toxic aquatic venom is Dugubo, who has the audacity to call himself Poison Douluo. "So, you came to visit me this time because you want me to cure the poison in this guy's body." At the end, Yang Wudi turned his gaze back to Lin Rong, and when he saw her nod, he continued, "No problem, it's just the poison of the martial soul backlash. It's a piece of cake for me, but what about the reward?" Speaking of this, Yang Wudi rubbed his hands, his eyes filled with desire for the rare herbs. "If you can produce herbs of the same level as the 9th grade dragon mushroom we used last time, everything will be easy. Even if we don't have any, herbs of 1 or 2 lower grades will do, as long as we can make up for the shortage in quantity." After all, although the detoxification is simple, it is still a big risk for me to treat the poison for such a moody title. Douluo, Dugubo, who was left aside, asked excitedly after hearing the old man in front of him admit that he could cure the poison in his body, "Really? Can you really cure me?" But Yang Wudi simply ignored Dugubo's existence, staring at Lin Rong, waiting for his answer with full expectation. Seeing Yang Wudi's gaze falling on him, Lin Rong took out a large flower with a stem from the dragon pattern jade bead on his wrist. It was a strange flower, with pale pink petals as crystal clear as crystal, and pale purple stamens as shining as diamonds. The moment the flowers appear, a faint fragrance is released, and the refreshing smell permeates every corner of the living room. This is, looking at the pale pink flower in front of him, Yang Wudi's trembling voice echoed in the living room. It was an emotion caused by excessive excitement and joy. He walked up to Lin Rong involuntarily, squatted down and admired the magical herbs in front of him up close. However, not long after he admired it, Lin Rong put this magical item away. The immortal item he had been dreaming about disappeared before his eyes. Yang Wudi's face turned coal black in an instant, as if he was riding a roller coaster. He asked in dissatisfaction, "Boy, what do you mean? Give me the Xiaotian kilo immortal product. From now on, whenever you need to refine medicine or poison, I will help you refine it for free. I will also cure the poison in Dugubo's body. I won't charge you any extra fees. How do you think?" End of this chapter. Chapter 127 Lin Rong vs Yang Wudi. Hearing these words, Lin Rong remained unmoved and said seriously, Patriarch Yang, you seem to have made a mistake. I never said I would give you the Xiaotian kilo immortal product." As soon as the words fell, the atmosphere in the living room suddenly froze. Yang Wudi raised his eyebrows, looked at Lin Rong unkindly, and said angrily, "Then why did you take it out? Are you trying to show off in front of me?" "No." Hearing this, Lin Rong shook his head and replied, "I didn't say I would give it to you, but I also didn't say I wouldn't give it to you." This ambiguous statement made Yang Wudi, a straightforward person, somewhat confused, and he asked in confusion, "What do you mean, this fragrant and beautiful fairy product? Are you going to give it to me? Or not?" After listening to Yang Wudi's question, Lin Rong said concisely, "It's very simple. Let's fight. If you beat me, the fragrant kilo fairy product will be yours, but on the other hand, if you lose to me, you will have to lead the Pazi clan to submit to me. Therefore, whether or not you can obtain the Xiaotian kilo immortal product actually depends on whether you, clan leader Yang, can defeat me. Fight with me? You." Yang Wudi looked at Lin Rong in front of him in confusion and said, "You didn't say something wrong, did you? How old are you? Can you take a shot from me? If it was your old butler who has the cultivation of soul Douluo, it would be okay. As for you, you still need to practice for a few more decades before you are qualified, if I am not buried by then." In response to this, Lin Rong sighed slightly, and his heart. His appearance of being less than 11 years old is so deceptive. Before seeing his true strength with one's own eyes, no one would believe that a child less than 11 years old could fight against Contra. There is no point in saying more. Instead of explaining anything, it would be more convincing to just show the spirit ring. So, without saying much, Lin Rong released his soul ring and displayed it in front of Yang Wudi. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, black. A total of 6 colorful soul rings appeared on Lin Rong, one after another in front of Yang Wudi's astonished eyes. Out of the unique pre-battle etiquette of Douluo continent, Lin Rong reported his name and soul power level. Lin Rong, level 66, controlled type, combat soul emperor. Please give me some advice. Good boy. Yang Wudi's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He stood up and said, "No wonder I was wrong. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would never have believed such a thing. A soul emperor who was less than 12 years old, want to fight? No problem. I promise you, if you win, I will lead the entire tribe to submit to you without hesitation, but if I win, you must remember to give me the Xiaotian kilo immortal product. Don't break your promise. Then, let me see what makes you dare to fight me." The cultivation of this soul emperor is far from enough. As he spoke, Yang Wudi took a few steps back and then stretched out his right hand. There was a flash of light, and a pitch-black spear with a cold luster appeared in his palm. This spear is 12 feet long in total, of which the spear shaft, which is as thick as an ordinary person's arm, is only 8 feet long, while the wide spear tip is a full 4 feet long. 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 4 black. 8 soul rings with a best matching ratio appeared on the gun body at the same time, shining up and down around the 2-meter-long spear in Yang Wudi's hand, shining brightly. Yang Wudi, level 81, strong attack soul fighter. In the original novel, Yang Wudi's soul power level was 82, but Tang San was already 20 years old at that time. At present, there are still 9 years before that time. It was also mentioned in the original book that Yang Wudi was obsessed with refining medicine and poison, and thus slacked off in the cultivation of his soul power. Among the 4 patriarchs of the 4 single attribute clans, his cultivation was the lowest before the Xiaotian sect went into seclusion. The patriarchs of the 4 single attribute clans all had the cultivation level of soul Douluo in at least 20 years. Yang Wudi only improved his soul power by 1 level. Lin Rong didn't know what to say about this. Holding the spear tightly in his hand, Yang Wudi did not launch an attack immediately. He considered himself an elder, and his soul power was 15 levels higher than Lin Rong's. Naturally, he was generous and waited for the other party to attack first. and it would not be too late for him to counterattack. Soul-breaking spear. Let's see whose spear is stronger. A blue gold light shone, and a spear that was completely blue and had golden patterns on it appeared in Lin Rong's hand. Didn't you say you are a controlled type soul emperor? Why isn't your martial soul the dragon soul vine of your Lin family? Seeing this, Yang Wudi was suspicious. Could it be that you, like the spirit hall's pope, also have twin spirits? In response, Lin Rong just smiled calmly and said, this spear is not a martial spirit, but an external spirit bone. As for my martial spirit, Patriarch Yang will see it later. As he spoke, Lin Rong's first soul ring, third soul ring, fourth soul ring, and fifth soul ring, a total of 4 soul rings, shone at the same time. The 9-bend vine dragon hidden in his sleeves was split into 2 under the effect of the 5th soul skill, Dragon Soul Clone, and turned into 2 dragon souls that wrapped around his arms under his clothes. Double Dragon Soul Awakening, Double Blue River shining in the blue sky, Double Dragon Roar in the Thunder World. Under the amplification of the 3 major soul skills, Lin Rong's own aura instantly soared, surpassing Yang Wudi, the soul Douluo on the opposite side. I didn't choose to release the talent field, because if I did that, the 20% increase and decrease of all attributes would make this battle very boring on the opposite side. After Yang Wudi learned that the blue gold spear was an external soul bone, a trace of surprise and envy flashed in his eyes, but soon, he poured all his emotions into the soul-breaking spear in his hand, and no emotion appeared on his face anymore. Seeing that Yang Wudi was unwilling to launch an attack first, Lin Rong did not hesitate and swung the Emperor's holy spear forward. The height difference between the two made the scene seem a little ridiculous, but Yang Wudi's emotions did not fluctuate at all. He just looked at the gun skills full of flaws in front of him, and gripped the soul-breaking spear tightly and thrust it hard. The 2 spears collided with each other, making a crisp sound. Seeing that the spear in Lin Rong's hand was not knocked away by him, Yang Wudi remained calm, and instead swept the spear horizontally, with the tip of the spear quickly attacking Lin Rong's neck. There was another crisp sound. The tip of the soul-breaking spear failed to cut Lin Rong's neck, but hit the dragon scales of a green real dragon that suddenly appeared on his neck after 2 unsuccessful attacks. The first soul ring on Yang Wudi lit up. First soul skill, shock. A sudden burst of explosive energy burst out from Yang Wudi's body, which pushed Lin Rong in front of him back a few steps. His own momentum also reached its peak under the effect of his soul skill. Immediately afterwards, the second and third soul rings lit up at the same time. Second soul skill, penetrate. The third soul skill, explosion. A layer of black light suddenly burst out from the tip of the soul-breaking spear. Yang Wudi held the spear, pushed hard with his feet, leaped forward, and stabbed forward without hesitation. Lin Rong had read the original novel, so he naturally knew the effects of Yang Wudi's second and third soul skills. A percentage enhanced penetration. A stab into an enemy will produce an effect similar to a chain explosion of dark energy in his body. Faced with Yang Wudi's attack, Lin Rong did not intend to dodge. With the life dragon soul of the Vine Dragon realm, any injuries suffered by oneself will gradually be transformed into vitality to restore oneself. Therefore, what Lin Rong is least afraid of is exchanging injuries with his opponent. The spirit attachment was activated, and the 9-bent vine dragon that was differentiated from the dragon soul clone turned into a green stream of light and merged into the Emperor's holy spear, forming a green dragon-shaped pattern on the spear shaft. The power of space and thunder attributes burst out, and silver and purple light flowed on the tip of the gun. The next moment, the tips of the guns of both sides collided with each other, and a huge air wave erupted, overturning the tables and chairs in the living room. Boom! The floor beneath their feet cracked, and the huge recoil force caused the knuckles of their hands to break, and blood flowed onto the ground through the cracks. The difference is that the shadow of a green real dragon is surging on Lin Rong's body. Half a second later, before the blood even started to flow out of the crack, the small wound on the palm of the hand had completely healed. At the same time, at the tips of the 2 spears, the black light of the soul-breaking spear blended with the silver, white, blue and purple light, determined to determine which one was superior. However, the black light of the soul-breaking spear came from Yang Wudi's third soul skill. How can a soul ring and soul skill that is more than 1,000 years old contend with the 2 elemental forces of space and thunder? In just half a breath, the black light of the soul-breaking spear was wiped out. Seeing that he was at a disadvantage after the stabbing attack from both sides, Yang Wudi used his first soul skill again to repel Lin Rong. Immediately afterwards, the 7th soul ring on the soul-breaking spear suddenly lit up. 7th soul skill, the true form of the soul-breaking gun. After unleashing the martial soul's true form, A pitch-black glow quickly spread from the tip of the soul-breaking spear. Not only did it spread to the entire body of the soul-breaking spear, but even Yang Wudi, who was holding the soul-breaking spear, was painted the same dark color as the soul-breaking spear. The size of the soul-breaking spear in the form of the spirit's true avatar did not change, but there was an extra circle of black flames surrounding the outer layer of the spear, like a black devil fire from hell. Eerie and terrifying invisible airwaves were released from Yang Wudi's body, shattering the wooden floor at his feet. A solemn and murderous atmosphere filled the entire living room. Yang Wudi, who was so excited, had forgotten that this was just a gamble, not a life and death battle. The last pitch-black 10,000-year soul ring surrounding the soul-breaking spear lit up the 7th soul skill, the martial soul's true body, and the 8th soul skill representing the soul Douluo's cultivation, meant that Yang Wudi did not hold back at all at this moment, but used all his strength to attack. Seeing this, Lin Rong narrowed his eyes into a line in the battle between him and Yang Wudi. He maintained 4 soul skills at all times. The collision just now had already consumed 20% of his soul power. This is not a forest, but there are not so many ancient trees for him to draw life energy from to restore himself. If he delays any further, the situation will become unfavorable for him. Therefore, Lin Rong originally planned to end the battle quickly, and Yang Wudi's behavior at this moment was in line with his wishes. Then he injected the remaining soul power and part of his mental power into the Emperor's holy spear, and the blue-gold spear body suddenly burst into dazzling light. Now that we have come to this, let us decide the outcome with one move. End of this chapter. Chapter 128, Spear and Shield. After the Emperor's holy spear was possessed by a spirit, it inherited the dragon might and all elemental attributes of the 9-curved vine dragon. The 9-bend vine dragon itself possesses the elemental attributes of life and wood. The 2nd soul ring derived from Kong Kings, who gave the 9-curved vine dragon martial soul, the attribute of space element. The 4th soul ring derived from the thundering hell vine gave the 9-curved vine dragon martial soul, the elemental attributes of thunder and destruction. The 5th soul ring derived from the Kingmu twin lotus gave the 9-curved vine dragon martial soul, the elemental attributes of wind and water. Therefore, the 9-curved vine dragon martial soul now possesses the power of 7 elemental attributes: life, destruction, thunder, space, wood, wind, and water. With the infusion of soul power and mental strength, colorful lights symbolizing the 7 elemental forces bloomed from the blue-gold spear. At the same time, on the blue-gold spear, the green dragon-shaped patterns formed after the 9-curved vine dragon possessed the spirit seemed to come alive and move all over the spear. There seemed to be a dragon's roar, and the mighty and pure dragon power was released from the green dragon-shaped pattern. The light golden mental power merged with the dragon's might, turning the virtual into the real, and condensed into a majestic 5-clawed golden dragon above the gun. When the 5-clawed golden dragon appeared, the blue-gold spear in Lin Rong's hand turned into starlight and dissipated in the air. The colorful light symbolizing the power of the 7 elements is rendered on the bright yellow scales of the 5-clawed golden dragon, making it look dazzling and sparkling. A loud dragon roar echoed in the living room, and a 5-clawed golden dragon circled around Lin Rong, surrounding him with its huge body to protect him. The roar of the 5-clawed golden dragon contained dragon power and spiritual shock, which made Yang Wudi, who was locked as an enemy, feel shaken after hearing the dragon's roar. Under the effect of the 1st soul skill shock, Yang Wudi's momentum, which had already reached its peak, began to decline due to the influence of the dragon's roar. This made him secretly feel that something was wrong. The decline in his own momentum will inevitably affect the power of his next moves. Therefore, the fighting instincts developed over the years allowed Yang Wudi to make what he believed to be the most correct choice. The moment his own momentum began to decline, he took advantage of the moment when his momentum, which had reached its peak, had only dropped a little bit, and at this moment he delivered his strongest attack with a slight flaw. Suddenly, the soul-breaking spear in Yang Wudi's hand broke through the air and turned into a black flame as thick as an arm in the air and flew straight towards Lin Rong as a purely offensive weapon spirit. The soul-breaking spear is powerful enough to surpass 99% of the spirits in the world. In addition, compared with a beast soul true body, the enhancement of the weapon soul true body is almost entirely concentrated on the weapon spirit, and only a tiny part of the soul master himself is enhanced. This is also the reason why the weapon soul's true body is more powerful than the beast soul's true body. The power of Yang Wudi's attack, after being amplified by 8 soul skills including the weapon soul's true body, is so strong that even a titled Douluo has to avoid it and dare not confront it head-on. However, facing this attack, Lin Rong had no intention of dodging, but planned to take it head-on on the neck of the 5-clawed golden dragon. The jade-white crescent-shaped dragon scale transformed into a huge dragon scale shield in the air. The gun-shaped black flame cut through the air, causing a sharp and piercing sound, and hit the dragon scale shield at the moment it took shape in an instant. The whole living room became silent. The enormous pressure generated by the confrontation between the black flame soul-breaking spear and the dragon scale shield suppressed all movements in the surroundings. After a moment, a crackling sound was heard under the gazes of everyone in the living room. The tip of the soul-breaking spear was covered with fine cracks, as if the tip would shatter in the next moment. Not good. Seeing that his martial soul was damaged, Yang Wudi no longer cared about winning or losing the competition. He quickly used his soul power to control this soul-breaking spear remotely, wanting to take his martial soul into his body to nourish it. Looking at this scene, Lin Rong was also surprised. He was simply defending himself, but he didn't expect that the soul-breaking spear was too powerful and the tip of the spear was almost shattered after being hit by the backlash of the reverse scale. Damage to a weapon spirit is nothing after all. Even if it breaks into pieces, it can be restored as long as it is taken back into the Soul Master's body and nurtured for a month or two. In other words, Yang Wudi, a martial arts fanatic, treated the soul-breaking spear as his lifeblood, which was why he chose to stop, because he felt sorry for it at this point. Lin Rong realized that the battle would not continue, so he put away his soul ring. The dragon scale shield and the five-clawed golden dragon also turned into star points and dissipated in the air amidst the countless starlight. The blue-gold Emperor's holy spear and the nine-curved vine dragon, which was transformed from the fifth soul skill, the dragon soul clone, turned into streams of light and returned to the bodies of Lin Rong and the nine-curved vine dragon respectively. Patriarch Yang, if you stop here, you will lose this competition. As he spoke, Lin Rong looked around and found that there was not even a place to sit in the living room, which was in a mess due to the aftermath of the battle, because the tables and chairs that were originally placed in the living room were also shattered in the process of being blown away by the aftermath. In the corner of the living room, the old butler saw this, walked behind Lin Rong, took out a chair from the soul guide and asked him to sit down and rest. Of course. Yang Wudi replied, his tone slightly low. Even my strongest attack couldn't break your defense. If we had continued the fight just now, I would definitely have been the loser. I'm willing to accept defeat. I'm not someone who can't afford to lose. I will never go back on my word. Only at this point, Yang Wudi's tone seemed a little hesitant, and the words on his lips were slow to come out. Looking at Yang Wudi's appearance, Lin Rong saw through what was going on in the other party's heart at a glance. With a flash of light in his hand, the fragrant and beautiful fairy product appeared in his hand again. Sniffing the elegant fragrance floating in the air, Lin Rong asked back, Yaoxian Kilo Xianpan, do you want this? Yes, yes, yes. Yang Wudi nodded frantically, and his originally low tone instantly became excited. This is a fairy quality herb of Yaoxian Kilo. It is too important for me. With the effect of Yaoxian Kilo Xianpan being immune to all poisons, I dare to try to refine those extremely dangerous drugs recorded in my cleanse classics. Its floral fragrance can also cause many medicines to mutate and exert more powerful effects. For us, the Poyu clan, it is the most precious treasure in the world. Therefore, I am willing to exchange anything I have for this fragrant Kilo fairy product. After hearing these words, Duuluo, who was watching the show on the side, recalled what happened at the Tang clan banquet 3 years ago, and he suddenly understood. No wonder his poison was ineffective against adults at the beginning. It was all because of this big pink and purple flower immune to all poisons. This thing is simply the nemesis of all poison masters in the world. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, Poison and Dansu. The outcome has been decided. It is impossible for me to give you this fragrant and beautiful fairy product. Lin Rong rejected Yang Wudi's request, but then changed the subject. However, I can't give it to you, but I can lend it to you for use. As he spoke, the fragrant and beautiful fairy product in his hand floated in the air in front of Yang Wudi. Thank you. Yang Wudi happily picked up the big pink and purple flower floating in front of him. With a look of surprise on his face seeing this, Lin Rong turned his head and looked outside the living room door, looking at the members of the Poyu clan who were attracted by the fighting noise just now, and said to Yang Wudi, okay, let your people disperse. The beating is over, and you've taken the flowers. It's time for you to get down to business and detoxify this guy. In the corner of the living room, Dugubo, who had been ignored for a long time, thought, "It's finally my turn." Lin Rong didn't know how Yang Wudi treated Dugubo for the poison, because he didn't go to join in the fun, so he didn't know how it was carried out in detail. However, 3 days later, when Dugubo reappeared before him, his entire image had changed greatly. The stench caused by the poison disappeared, the color of the iconic dark green hair became much lighter, and the emerald green eyes also regained some black color. "How did you achieve such a quick effect?" Lin Rong asked Yang Wudi. "The color of Dugubo's hair and pupils is the result of being infected by poisons for many years. The fact that these two have changed so much shows that the poisons in Dugubo's body have basically been cleared in just 3 days. He accomplished what Tang San in the original novel couldn't do in half a year," which made Lin Rong very curious. Is it because the Tang clan is not as good as the Pazi clan in terms of pharmacology and poisons, or is it simply because Tang San's studies are not good enough and he is not as good as Yang Wudi? "This is complicated," Yang Wudi explained. "When I was treating the old poisoner, I discovered that there was a pill bead in his body. He told me that thing was a pill bead formed when his martial soul evolved from the green phosphorus snake to the green phosphorus snake queen. After learning about the existence of this Danzhu, I suddenly had an idea and changed the originally planned treatment method. This pill bead is the result of the evolution of the old poisonous creature's martial soul. It is closely related to his jade phosphorus snake king martial soul. Similarly, the poison he was poisoned with was also the backlash poison produced by his martial soul. It can be said that it has the same origin as the elixir bead. Therefore, I prepared a medicinal bath and used acupuncture to help the old poisonous creature force the backlash poison he had been infected with into his danshin, so that the elixir in his danshin could absorb it. Originally, this process would have been very long. After all, this old poisoner was too deeply poisoned. Except for the brain, every part of his body was infected by the poison. I even think that if this old poison creature had not absorbed the piece of head soul bone, his brain would have been corroded by the poison." At this point, Yang Wudi took out a fragrant kilo fairy product and caressed it lovingly, and continued to explain, "Although the fragrant kilo immortal product cannot detoxify, the fragrance it emits can neutralize all poisons. Especially when the immortal product itself is provoked by a poison, the effect of its floral fragrance will increase exponentially. Therefore, I asked the old poisoner to drip a few drops of his martial spirit's innate poison onto the pistol of the Yaoxiang Kilo immortal product, which triggered this effect. In addition, the old poisonous creature actually opened up 2 of the 8 extraordinary meridians. I am very surprised that there are people in this world who know about the 8 extraordinary meridians and can open them up." After asking, I learned about the Zhuanshan Guang from the old poisoner. Outside, there is the fragrance of the flowers of the Yaoxiang Kilo immortal product, the medicinal bath I prepared and the acupuncture I performed, and inside, there are 2 extraordinary meridians and 8 channels that are connected, as well as the mysterious soul power operation method of the Zhuanshan Guang. With all these factors combined, the poison in the old poisoner's body was basically cleared in just 3 days. As for the remaining toxins in the old poisonous creature's body, he will need to slowly spend time to grind them out before they can be completely cleared out. After saying that, Yang Wudi shifted his gaze from the Yaoxiang Kilo fairy product and looked at Lin Rong. Sir, the old poisonous creature said that everyone under your command is qualified to practice Zhuanshan Gong. Do you think that is right?" Practicing Zhuanshan Gong can open up the 8 extraordinary meridians, and this effect alone is enough to attract him. Although the classics of their Poi clan recorded knowledge about meridians, acupoints, danshin, etc., there was no method at all on how to open up the 8 extraordinary meridians after birth. Therefore, although Yang Wudi knew that there were many benefits to opening up the 8 extraordinary meridians, he himself was unable to do it because there is no specific method. It is impossible for him to mobilize his soul power to open the 8 extraordinary meridians through meditation alone with his soul power of only level 81. "Here, take it." As Lin Rong spoke, he threw a booklet to Yang Wudi, which contained the cultivation methods of Zhuanshan Guang and Ziji Demon Eye. The reason why he didn't give him the ghost shadow from the standard 3-piece set was because he took into account that Yang Wudi's aggressive fighting style would not be able to use it at all. Seeing Yang Wudi happily taking the booklet, Lin Rong reminded him, "You can practice the Zhuantian Gong and Ziji Demon pupil in this booklet. As for your clansmen, only your direct blood relatives can practice. The rest will depend on future circumstances. By the way, Take the time to prepare a set of colorful things for me in the next few days. I have my own use for them." Hearing the first sentence, Yang Wudi nodded in agreement. Just as he was about to reply, he heard the next sentence and couldn't help but ask in confusion, "Sir, the seven-colored poison is a forbidden poison of my Poi clan. Even among my clan, only a few people know of its existence." "How did you know about it? How did he know this?" Lin Rong thought. Of course I learned it from reading the original novel, but how could he say such a thing? So his natural answer was, "As a qualified subordinate, this is not something you should ask. Just do your job well and don't ask questions that you shouldn't ask." "Yes, I understand." Hearing this, Yang Wudi suppressed the doubts in his heart and stopped thinking about it. It takes 7 kinds of drugs to make the colorful formula, and it takes 2 or 3 days to make it complete without any failure. If you need it urgently, I will go and get it ready now. As he spoke, a hint of excitement and enthusiasm appeared on Yang Wudi's face the moment the colorful substance was developed. It was listed as a forbidden poison. Because the refining process was extremely dangerous, he only tried to refine it once or twice. Now that he had the Yaoxiang Kilo immortal product in his hand, he was not afraid of any accidents during the refining process and could not wait to give it a try. If the detoxification of Dugubo had not been delayed until now, he should be in the pharmacy at this moment. 2 or 3 days, no rush. "I don't need it right now anyway." Hearing this, Lin Rong said, "As long as I can take it out when I need it, you can refine it any time. Also, we live in the same city. How much do you know about the Wind Sword Sect?" "Wind Sword Sect? Sir, you are asking this?" Yang Wudi was halfway through his words when he thought of something and changed the subject. "As far as I know, there are a total of 5 Soul Douluo level soul masters in the Wind Sword Sect. I am not sure about the number of soul saints, but a conservative estimate is no less than 2 hands. The person with the highest cultivation level in the Wind Sword Sect right now is the old sect master who abdicated 3 days ago. His martial soul is the fierce Wind Sword, and he is a level 87 strong attack soul Douluo. Well, this is all I know about the Wind Sword Sect." End of this chapter. Chapter 130 Eradication Operation. Although the Poyu clan lived in the same Yufeng city as the Fengjian sect, because the Fengjian sect was very close to the Wuhan Hall, the Poyu clan's medicine refining business network did not include the Fengjian sect. Therefore, Yang Wudi's understanding of the Fengjian sect was very limited. He only knew all this because they had lived together in Yufeng City for more than 10 years and had heard a little about it. Lin Rong didn't care much about this situation anyway. He was just asking casually and didn't have much expectation from Yang Wudi, the old otaku. At the same time, the Wind Sword Sect has 5 Soul Douluo, which is the same number as he originally estimated in the original novel. Not much emphasis is placed on the lower 4 sects, and the one that appears the most is the Elephant Armor Sect, which serves as a stepping stone for the main characters. Therefore, Lin Rong estimated the overall strength range of the lower 4 sects based on what Yang Wudi said in the original novel. If the 4 of us join forces, we will have nearly 1,000 soul masters. With their combined strength, we will not be much worse than any of the lower 4 sects. The 4 clan leaders of the 4 single attribute clans are 4 Soul Douluos, who are slightly inferior to the lower 4 clans, so 1 more will be added to the 4-5 Soul Douluos, and over 1,000 soul masters should be the average level of overall strength of the lower 4 sects. The 87th level of soul power cultivation of the Fengjian sect's old leader was also within Lin Rong's expectations. After all, if the person with the highest soul power cultivation in Fengjian sect is level 89, then in the Battle of Jialing Pass, this person should have broken through to the realm of title Douluo like Huayan Zhen. Rather than being an unknown person who has not even a single word of ink to describe him in the newly renovated living room, Lin Rong sat in the main seat, lowering his head and thinking, the Wind Sword Sect has 5 Soul Douluos and more than 1,000 soul masters. With such strength, there is no need for Grandpa Yu and I to take action. We can just leave it to Yang Wudi and Dugubo to deal with. By the way, let's put the blame of destroying the Wind Sword Sect on the Spirit Hall. No matter whether those forces close to the Spirit Hall believe it or not, word of mouth and rumors can turn falsehood into truth. After all, the only force in the entire continent that could destroy the Wind Sword Sect overnight in the territory of the Duo Empire is the Spirit Hall. So, Lin Rong looked up at Dugubo, who was looking in the mirror, and said, "Okay, stop being so conceited. I'll give you a task." Sitting on the chair beside him, Dugubo looked at his pupils in the mirror, which had become lighter in color. After hearing this, He immediately put the mirror down and said seriously, "Sir, please tell me, tonight, you take Yang Wudi with you to destroy the Fengjian sect for me." Lin Rong said calmly, "Remember, keep your eyes open when you're collecting spoils, and don't miss anything valuable, especially the inherited soul bones of the Wind Sword sect. Also, before you do anything, tie up the red-robed cardinal of the Wuhan Hall of Yufang City for me. After you've dealt with the Fengjian sect, just throw him into the Fengjian sect's headquarters." "I understand," Dugubo answered concisely. For a city of the level of Yufang City, the bishop of the Spirit Hall is at most a soul sage. He is a title Douluo at level 95, so it is easy for him to control a small soul sage. That's right, not level 93, but level 95. During the detoxification process of Dugubo, the soul power contained in the poison in his body was released in the process of fusion with the elixir bead, which made his soul power level increase by 2 levels in just 3 days, from the original level 93 to the current level 95. In fact, the soul power contained in the poison is enough for Dugubo to break through to level 96. However, although he has absorbed 2 10,000-year soul bones, his own qualifications are still a little short of reaching the threshold of breaking through to level 96. As long as he absorbs a 10,000-year soul bone, his aptitude will be enough to break through to level 96. Therefore, Dugubo was very concerned about the task that Lin Rong had just assigned to him. As the main force in destroying the 4 lower sects, he was absolutely qualified to pick a 10,000-year soul bone from the spoils of the Wind Sword sect as a reward for completing the task, sir. At this time, Yang Wudi heard that he also wanted to participate in this mission, and it also involved the Spirit Hall, so he put forward his own suggestions. "Since you want to destroy the Wind Sword sect, why don't you destroy the Wuhan Hall in Yufang City as well?" He did not ask why Lin Rong wanted to destroy the Fengjian sect, because in his opinion, the Fengjian sect was so close to the Spirit Hall and was undoubtedly a running dog of the Spirit Hall. There is a deep blood feud between Yang Wudi and the Spirit Hall. As a member of the Spirit Hall's lackey army, the Fengjian sect was naturally affected by his hatred. Looking at the cruel look on Yang Wudi's face, Lin Rong knew that he had lost his mind due to hatred. For this reason, Lin Rong had to explain patiently, "You have to look at the owner when beating a dog. Although the Wind Sword sect secretly joined the Spirit Hall, it is still an independent force on the surface, so it can be destroyed. The Spirit Hall will not make a big fuss over such a thing, but if we destroy the Wuhan Hall in Yufang City, the nature of the matter will be different. The destruction of a main city-level Spirit Hall main hall is tantamount to a huge provocation to the Spirit Hall. What big forces care about most is face. In order to maintain and save face, Spirit Hall will definitely mobilize their intelligence network of Spirit Hall branches across the continent to find the murderer in the dark. The Spirit Hall has branches in all towns and villages across the continent. Once they are truly put to use, this will be a very powerful intelligence network. By then, the Spirit Hall will be keeping a close eye on every town on the continent. How can I carry out my unfinished plan in secret? I know you have a grudge against the Spirit Hall, but now is not the time to deal with the Spirit Hall. Destroying the main hall of the Spirit Hall in a city will not cause any serious damage to the giant Spirit Hall. Instead, it will cause unnecessary trouble for us. Yes, I understand." These words brought Yang Wudi back to his senses, but the anger towards the Spirit Hall still lingered in his heart, so he planned to vent his anger on the Fengjian sect when he was carrying out a mission tonight. After dealing with Yang Wudi, Lin Rong looked at Dugubo again and asked, "I asked you to practice the Zuan Yu hand as soon as possible. How are you doing?" Hearing this, Dugubo was stunned for a moment and replied, "Time is too tight and my proficiency is not high enough. My black jade hand can be used, but it's not smooth enough." Hearing this answer, Lin Rong said indifferently, "It's okay, as long as it works. In order to ensure that tonight's mission will not be leaked, I lend this to you." As he spoke, a crystal white herb appeared in Lin Rong's hand. Fuck me. The moment the herb appeared, Dugubo saw it and fell off his chair as if he had seen something horrible. He rolled and crawled back, with a look of deep fear on his old face. End of this chapter. Chapter 131. Deadly Immortal Herb. Seeing Dugubo's useless appearance, Lin Rong said with disdain, "You are a titled Douluo, but you look so cowardly." Dugubo's movement also attracted Yang Wudi's attention. Seeing that the old poisonous creature was so scared, he couldn't help but be curious about what Lin Rong took out. So he turned his head away looking at the herb in Lin Rong's hand. Yang Wudi quickly searched his mind for information about this herb and soon got the answer, the snow-white herb, and the shape of a swan's neck. This is the snow-colored swan's kiss, one of the immortal herbs, although both are immortal herbs. Yang Wudi's expression is different from the joy when he saw the Xiaotian kilo immortal herb. Facing the snow swan kiss, he looks nervous, and a trace of deep fear and dread flashes in the depths of his eyes. Although this thing is not poisonous, it can multiply any toxins it comes into contact with by thousands of times. He was obsessed with refining medicine and poisons all his life, and his body was already contaminated with countless kinds of toxic substances. He couldn't imagine how terrible the consequences would be if he accidentally touched the snow swan's kiss. No wonder the old poisonous creature was so frightened that he was so instigated. It turned out to be this magical herb. No wonder. Yang Wudi, who recognized the snow swan kiss, immediately understood why Dugubo was so frightened. Although the poison on the old poison creature has been almost cleared, the green phosphorus snake king's martial spirit's innate poison still remains throughout his body. If you were to be kissed by the snow swan, your fate would be 10 times worse than mine. It's just. Yang Wudi looked at Lin Rong, who was holding the snow swan kiss with his bare hands, but nothing happened, and couldn't help feeling puzzled. Why is nothing wrong with you, sir? Could it be that this snow swan kiss is fake? Or is it that there is not even a trace of poisonous substance in your body? Sitting in the main seat of the living room, Lin Rong put away the disgust on his face and turned to explain to Dugubo on the ground, don't worry, as long as you don't come into direct contact with this herb, it won't trigger the toxic effect, and the reason why I asked you to practice the mysterious jade hand is because it can block the effects of the snow swan kiss, so that you can use it to amplify your poison. With this in your hands, tonight's mission will be foolproof. Come on, don't be scared, use the mysterious jade hand, muster up the courage to pick up this herb, trust me, nothing will happen. Seeing Dugubo lying on the ground, unmoved, Lin Rong continued to comfort him, don't worry, even if your Zuanayu hand is not well trained and something goes wrong, I can still save you. Dugubo remained silent. He was filled with fear of the snow-white herb in Lin Rong's hand, but under pressure, he still staggered to his feet and walked tremblingly to Lin Rong, who, after taking several deep breaths, Dugubo began to use the mysterious jade hand. The soul power cultivated from the mysterious heavenly art gathered in his hands, gradually turning his palms into a jade-white color like cold jade. Sir, are you sure this can isolate the effect of this herb? Out of fear, Dugubo was making the final confirmation. Nonsense, hurry up. Upon hearing this answer, Dugubo swallowed, then closed his eyes and took the snow swan kiss in his hand. 1 second, 2 seconds, soon, more than 10 seconds passed. Huh? I'm not dead? I'm still alive. Dugubo opened his tightly closed eyes in surprise and found that his whole body was intact, without any signs of being corroded by the poison. I didn't expect that the mysterious jade hand is really as written in the booklet, able to block out all kinds of poisons. This herb can multiply the toxin 1,000 times. If I use it to amplify the innate poison of the Pabi Phosphorus Snake King, I will be invincible. The green Phosphorus Snake King's innate poison is extremely toxic. After being amplified thousands of times, with Dugubo's knowledge, he really can't think of anyone in this world who can withstand his poison. Thinking of this, Dugubo looked at the snow swan kiss in his hand, and his gaze slowly changed from fear to fanaticism and obsession. Haha, don't have too many fantasies. Lin Rong seemed to see what Dugubo was thinking and reminded him, this thing is good, but it's easy to get burned. It's easy to release the poison, but have you ever thought about how it will end? If you leave a pool of venom that cannot be handled at the crime scene, wouldn't that be telling the spirit wall that it was you who did it? So, you'd better try the effect of the snow swan kiss now and decide on the dosage and strength of the poison tonight, so as not to get yourself into trouble later, and don't think you are invincible just because you have the snow swan kiss in your hand. Apart from anything else, the Yaxiang Kilo immortal product alone can completely defeat you. The last sentence was like a bucket of cold water that extinguished Dugubo's beautiful fantasy of being invincible, but this sentence also awakened Dugubo, so he asked, Sir, holding the Yaxiang Kilo immortal product can make you immune to all poisons. Why should I just take it with me when I carry out the mission tonight? Why should I bother to practice the Zuanai hand? In this regard, Lin Rong explained, you are dreaming. You want the immunity to all poisons of the Yaxiang Kilo immortal product, And you also want the breeding toxin of the snowy swan kiss. Where in the world can you find such a good thing? Yes, the Xiaotian Kilo immortal product can indeed make you immune to the influence of the snow swan kiss. However, the ability of the Xiaotian Kilo immortal product is only to prevent poison, and it cannot block the effect of the snow swan kiss like the black jade hand. Therefore, if you hold these two immortal herbs at the same time, the effect of snow swan kiss will still take effect, but because of the anti-poison ability of Xiaotian Kilo immortal product, it will not be revealed. Once you leave the effective range of the Xiaotian Kilo Xianping anti-poison, the effect of the snow swan kiss will be reflected. As for the consequences, you know it in your heart. Dugu Bo listened silently, looked down at his hands that were as white as cold jade, recalled by his tragic death in his mind, and shuddered slightly in his heart. Then he looked up and answered, "Understood. I will go test the effect of the snow swan kiss right now to ensure that there is no trace of my venom left in the wind sword sex base." After saying that, Dugubo pulled Yang Wudi out of the living room, intending to discuss tonight's tactics. Looking at Yang Wudi's departing back, Lin Rong considered whether to include him in the short list of candidates for the 100,000-year spirit ring, but on second thought, Yang Wudi's soul power was only level 81, and he still had a long way to go before reaching level 90. Forget it. If we can't find a more suitable candidate, then after Mengshu breaks through to level 90, I'll give him the Softbone Rabbit's 100,000-year spirit ring. At least I have a martial soul fusion skill, so it won't be a big loss to invest 100,000-year soul ring. End of this chapter. Chapter 132 Night Attack on Wind Sword Sect. Late at night, the fourth watch in front of the gate of the Fengjian sect's headquarters, a dark shadow slowly walked towards here. The two disciples on night watch had just uttered a word when another dark shadow appeared behind them. Click. Two sounds. The necks of the two disciples were strangled by the dark shadow behind them, and they fell to the ground with two thuds. Alice, it's a pity that the spirit hall has to be blamed. Otherwise, destroying the body and covering up all traces would be my usual style. Dugu Bo squatted down and searched all their belongings. He stood up and looked at Yang Wudi, who was walking towards them step by step. He asked speechlessly, "Old Yang, how can you conduct a night raid like this? If they react and sound the alarm by walking across the street openly, then everyone in the city will know about it. How can we destroy the Wind Sword sect quietly, unexpectedly?" Yang Wudi came over calmly and answered confidently, "I am not alone. Don't I have an old poisoner like you, me?" Dugubo was a little anxious, and his voice rose a few notches. Then, Dugubo realized that his voice was a bit loud. He looked around and lowered his voice, complaining, "I just went to the spirit hall to deal with that red cardinal. What if I didn't make it in time?" Okay. Yang Wudi didn't care much about this, but pulled Dugubo towards the gate. "Let's go in quickly. I can't wait to have a showdown with the Fengjian sect masters and elders." He said this. Yang Wudi's eyes were full of desire for battle. Seeing Yang Wudi's martial arts fanatic look, Dugubo was afraid that he would mess up and ruin the plan, so he repeatedly warned him, "Let's say it first, you can only take action after I have cleaned up all the scum in the Wind Sword sect." In response, Yang Wudi simply replied, "Old poison, don't worry, I know my limits." The night raid begins among the two of them. Yang Wudi was lurking at the gate of Fengjian sect, while Dugubo used the ghost shadow technique and swept around the Fengjian sect's headquarters like a ghost. As one of the four lower sects, the Fengjian sect has more than 1,000 direct disciples, plus miscellaneous affiliated personnel, a total of 5,000 people. As Dugubo continued to harvest, the number of 5,000 was rapidly decreasing. First, he shot to death the disciples of Fengjian sect who were on night patrol tonight, and then he wandered around the bedrooms like the god of death, silently killing the members of Fengjian sect one by one in their sleep. When Dugubo was harvesting the small fish, he kept in mind what Lin Rong had told him. While taking their lives, he also did not forget to search for valuables from these people and take them away. The way he looted the property was so skillful that he didn't look like a novice at all, but rather like a skilled thief. About half an hour later, in the huge Fengjian sect headquarters, apart from the two of them, the only people still alive were the 5 sect elders whose soul power cultivation was at the soul Douluo level, and the new and old sect masters. The main gate of the sect's headquarters in the dark night, Yang Wudi, who had been waiting here for a long time, saw Dugubo approaching and asked impatiently, "Nailed it, of course." Dugubo answered proudly, holding a cloth bag in his hand, which made a slight sound as he walked. "They are weaklings who are not even contras. How could I possibly fail? Look, all my gains are in these dozen or so storage soul guides. As he spoke, Dugubo threw the cloth bag in his hand to Yang Wudi, signaling the other party to appreciate the results of his search. However, as a martial arts fanatic, Yang Wudi had no time to appreciate the spoils of war. Right now, he was only thinking about finding an equally matched opponent to fight with in order to vent the anger that had accumulated in his heart. Therefore, facing the cloth bag thrown by Dugubo, Yang Wudi directly slapped it back. I don't have the time for that. Hurry up and tell me where those soldados from the Wind Sword sect live. At the moment, Dugubo was in a good mood. He was not unhappy when he saw that Yang Wudi had rejected his face. Instead, he walked happily in front and led the way. Come on, follow me. As they walked in, Dugubo asked curiously, Old Yang, which of the 5 do you plan to choose as your opponent first? Is it the new leader of the Wind Sword sect who is the weakest and has just broken through to the soldado level? Or is it the old leader of the Wind Sword sect who has the highest soul power level and the strongest strength? Hearing this, Yang Wudi was a little surprised and asked, aren't there 5 more? Why did you only say 2? Here. Dugubo took out a blue leather bag from his waist and waved it in front of Yang Wudi. The remaining 3 are in my Ruai Beibeo bag. As he spoke, Dugubo saw Yang Wudi staring at him with resentful eyes, and hurriedly explained, don't look at me like that. Of the 5 soldados, only the 3 of them didn't meditate tonight and were intoxicated in their dreams. This gave me the opportunity to take action. I sneaked in quietly and beat them with a stick, and then gave them some neurotoxin, and then put them into this Ruai treasure bag. Besides, don't I have 2 more soldados left for you to choose from? 2 contras, 1 for each of us. Old Yang, you pick one and I'll take care of the rest. After listening to this, Yang Wudi made his choice without any hesitation. The strongest one is mine, and the weaker one is yours. That's it, really? Then good luck to you. Dugubo had already anticipated Yang Wudi's choice. After all, he is the strongest person in the Wind Sword sect. His strength should not be underestimated. You'd better not capsize in the gutter and ask me to clean up your mess. Although Dugubo said this, he was still very confident in Yang Wudi's strength. After all, not every soldado can perform a title Douluo level attack. After a stick of incense, they came to the central area of the Fengjian sect's headquarters. Look, Old Yang, Dugubo led Yang Wudi to a courtyard, pointed to one of the rooms, and whispered, it is this bedroom. The opponent you chose is inside. Then I'll leave this place to you. I'll go find the remaining one. After saying that, Dugubo used his skills as a ghost and disappeared into the night. At the spot, Yang Wudi released the soul-breaking spear, and the fierce momentum directly woke up the old leader of the Fengjian sect, who was meditating in the bedroom. The old leader of the Fengjian sect, who looked like a white-haired old man, turned into a gust of wind and broke open the door. He appeared in the courtyard and stared at the black-haired old man who was in front of him with ill intentions. Come and fight, Yang Wudi didn't waste any time and rushed forward with the spear in hand. End of this chapter. Chapter 133. The Aftermath. Early in the morning, the sun just rose from the eastern sky. The mansion of the Pazi clan Lin Rong, who had been up all night, was now sitting in the living room counting the spoils that Dugubo and Yang Wudi had looted from the Fengjian sect: gold, silver, money, jewels, jade, antiques, calligraphy and paintings. They are all vulgar things. The experience gained from cultivating the Wind Sword spirit should be useful to my subordinates. The sword techniques. Up, soul bones. There are 4 of them. A 14,000-year-old skull, a 12,000-year-old torso bone, a 17,000-year-old left arm bone, and a 23,000-year-old right arm bone. Is this all that exists among the 4 great sects? Among the 4 soul bones, only one is over 20,000 years old. If this soul bone is not counted, it doesn't seem to be much stronger than the inherited soul bone of my family. But if you think about it carefully, the lower 4 sects don't have a single title Douluo, so having 4 10,000-year soul bones seems to be pretty good already. After all, if the age of their sect's inherited soul bones was high enough, their lower 4 sects would have already had a title Douluo. Looking at the 4 glowing soul bones floating in front of him, Lin Rong drew one and brought it to Dugubo. I'll give you this torso bone. Even though it's a little old, it's still a 10,000-year soul bone. Just make do with it and absorb it. Thank you, sir. Duuluo took the torso bone, his tone somewhat surprised. Although this torso bone is only 12,000 years old, the youngest among the 4 inherited soul bones of the Fengjian sect, it is the most precious torso bone among the 6 conventional soul bones of the 6 soul bones. Duuluo already has the head soul bone and the left arm soul bone. Of the 4 inherited soul bones of the Fengjian sect, the only ones he can absorb are the youngest torso bone and the oldest right arm bone. Although the right arm bone is more than 20,000 years old, in terms of its preciousness, it is not as valuable as the torso bone, which is more than 10,000 years old. If it was a head soul bone that was more than 20,000 years old, it would be about the same afterwards. Looking at Yang Wudi, who was injured, Lin Rong also cut a piece of soul bone in front of him. "I'll give you this head soul bone. After you absorb it, it will greatly improve your mental strength, making it easier for you to stay calm during battle and not get carried away." "Yes, I understand," Yang Wudi said. When he took the soul bone, the wound on his body was moved and he gasped in pain. In the battle with the old leader of the Fengjian sect, although he killed the opponent, he himself was not feeling well either, as he was seriously injured by the opponent's last blow. If the healing medicine he refined had not been strong enough, Yang Wudi would not be able to stand here and talk now. He would have been lying in bed recuperating. Seeing this, Lin Rong unfolded his innate field and injected pure life force into Yang Wudi's body. With the help of the healing medicine in his body, the injuries on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. "Talent field," Yang Wudi muttered, and then asked, "Sir, why do I feel that your martial spirit is more of an auxiliary type, not a control type? The healing effect is comparable to that of a healing contra." Regarding this question, Lin Rong simply said calmly, "There are many types of healing spirits in the world, but more than 90% of them belong to the category of plant spirits. As a top-level plant-type martial spirit, isn't it normal for Minine Curved Vine Dragon to have a stronger healing effect?" After that, Lin Rong ordered again, "Okay, quickly get your people to pack up and prepare to migrate. The Wind Sword sect has been destroyed, and the Cardinal of the Spirit Hall is still unconscious in the Wind Sword sect's headquarters. In the next few months, this Yufang city will be very lively. It's better to stay away from this kind of troublesome place as soon as possible." 2 days later, the tragic incident of the Fengjian sect being wiped out has spread widely. From high-ranking officials to the common people in the entire Yufang city, everyone is talking about this matter during their free time. There was a rumor that someone saw the Spirit Hall's cardinal walking out of the Fengjian sect's headquarters covered in blood. Although no one dared to confirm this openly, there is no smoke without fire. People were secretly discussing whether the destruction of the Fengjian sect was the work of the Spirit Hall. There is a restaurant in Yufang city. At the table, Lao Wang looked around and whispered in Lao Li's ear, "Tell me, was this really done by the Spirit Hall?" "It's hard to say." Old Li glanced around and answered in a low voice, "However, it is most likely that it was done by the Spirit Hall. Only the Spirit Hall has the power to destroy the 4 major sects at will. You've seen it before. The Poyu clan, who were rumored to have a grudge against the Spirit Hall, were so scared that they dared not stay in Yufang City. They gave up the business network they had worked so hard to build and migrated with their entire clan. I don't know where they went to seek refuge." "Yes." Lao Wang nodded, took a sip of wine, and said in a low voice, "It is said that the man who witnessed the Spirit Hall's red-robed archbishop walking out of the Wind Sword sect covered in blood died tragically at home the same night after he released the news. If the Spirit Hall has a clear conscience, why would they kill people to silence them? It's just that, Old Li, what is the reason why the Spirit Hall destroyed the Wind Sword sect? Didn't the Red Cardinal of the Spirit Hall attend the birthday banquet of the old leader of the Wind Sword sect a few days ago?" This. Lao Li took a sip of wine and guessed, "It may be because the Cardinal attended the birthday banquet and accidentally discovered that the Wind Sword sect had hidden a peerless treasure. In order to take possession of the treasure, the Spirit Hall sent out several legendary title Douluo level elders to destroy the Wind Sword sect overnight." As he spoke, Lao Li also made a gesture of wiping his neck. "Moreover, I guess the reason why the Red Cardinal walked out of the Wind Sword sect covered in blood was to force the high-ranking officials of the Wind Sword sect to reveal the whereabouts of their treasures. This also corresponds to the rumor that the bodies of the Wind Sword sect's soul Douluo had various scars of torture left on them. Think about it. If the Spirit Hall sent a title Douluo level elder to participate in this matter, then wouldn't the dirty work have to fall to the lowest-ranking cardinal? Yeah, that makes sense." Lao Wang nodded, and then said in a slightly sarcastic tone, Only those low-class people who can't even awaken their soul power would think that the spirit hall would never do such a thing. But who makes the spirit hall awaken the spirits for their descendants for free every year? It's obvious that the spirit hall did this simply because the fresh blood of the spirit master world is controlled by the major nobles and sects. They can only use the method of awakening the spirits of the common people to find the lucky ones whose spirits have mutated, and use the huge base of common people to support the fresh blood that the spirit hall needs to maintain itself. After saying that, Lao Wang wanted to say something, but Lao Li beside him kicked him with his foot, and a subtle voice came from his ear. "Shh, stop talking, the people from the spirit hall are here." End of this chapter. Chapter 134 Wuhan Palace's response. Looking around, 3 middle-aged men wearing spirit hall uniforms walked into the restaurant with the appearance of the 3 people. The entire restaurant suddenly became silent, as if all the diners were under a silencing spell, unable to speak and could only communicate with each other with their eye contact. Under the gaze of everyone, the 3 of them walked silently to an empty table and called the waiter to order food. In fact, they knew the reason for the change in the restaurant, but it was not easy to argue about such things, and they did not have the confidence to argue because even they themselves suspected that it was the spirit hall who did it. After all, although they worked in the spirit hall, their positions were too low, so it was normal that they did not know about such a confidential action plan. Half a month later, Wuhan City, the Pope's palace. Bibi Dong sat on the Pope's throne holding the scepter in her hand. Her peerless face was cold and her scrutinizing eyes swept among the people standing below the hall, and finally stopped on an old man in red who was kneeling in the center of the hall. In addition to a bright red robe, the old man also wore a 5-pointed white gold crown on his head. It is not difficult to guess from his attire that this old man is one of the 4 platinum bishops of the spirit hall. Bishop Platinum has a distinguished status in the spirit hall, and his position is only lower than that of the worshipper, the Pope, and the elders. But at this moment, this distinguished platinum bishop was kneeling on the ground. Combined with the fact that the Fengjian sect was exterminated, it was not difficult to guess that the old man in red kneeling on the ground was the one of the 4 platinum bishops of the spirit hall, who served as the main bishop of the spirit hall in Xingluo City, the capital of the Xingluo Empire. Just as Salas, the bishop of the main hall of the Wuhan Hall in Xiandao City, governs all the branches of the Wuhan Hall in the Xiandao Empire, this old man in red, who is the bishop of the main hall of the Wuhan Hall in Xingluo City, also governs all the branches of the Wuhan Hall in the Xingluo Empire. Yufeng City is located in the territory of the Xingluo Empire. At the same time, the Wuhan Hall branch of Yufeng City was inexplicably involved in the extermination of the Fengjian sect. As the highest person in charge of the spirit hall in the Star Luo Empire, the platinum bishop kneeling in the hall naturally cannot escape blame. Cross, do you have anything to say? Bibi Dong's majestic voice echoed in the hall, reporting to His Holiness the Pope. Platinum Bishop Cross, who was kneeling on the ground, raised his head and answered respectfully, "It has already happened, and I am willing to take full responsibility. However, this matter was obviously framed by someone. The Wind Sword sect surrendered to us not long ago, but was tragically wiped out not long after. In the entire Xingluo Empire, the only force with the ability and motivation is the Xingluo royal family, but it is impossible for the Xingluo royal family to quietly eliminate the Wind Sword sect overnight. I'm afraid that in addition to mobilizing the power of the White Tiger sect, the Xingluo royal family also secretly allied with the hidden sect Xingguan sect. This is how they were able to wipe out the Fengjian sect overnight without anyone noticing." Finally, Cross suggested, "Your Holiness, do you think we need to give the Xingguan sect some necessary warnings?" On the left side of the hall, Yu Yuan, one of the elders, listened to Cross's speculation and couldn't help wondering. Yufeng City, as I remember, is located in the southern central region of the Xingluo Empire, not far from Duanju City. It only takes about 3 or 4 days to travel south by carriage. Thinking carefully, it seems that the carriage of that gentleman was heading south. Moreover, you are accompanied by the old poisonous creature and the old butler who has no idea of his own limits. With the combat power of 2 titled Douluo, they are fully capable of accomplishing this. It can't really be. The more I think about Yuguan, the more reasonable it seems. Time, place, motive, strength, these are the necessary conditions for committing a crime, and that adult meets all the requirements perfectly. The ghost standing next to Yu Guan had the same idea as him. So, the 2 of them looked at each other tacitly, and then pretended to know nothing and stood there silently waiting for instructions above the hall. Bi Dong stood up from the Pope's throne and denied Cross's proposal. No need. Now is not the time to show your fangs. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Also, Cross, as punishment for your dereliction of duty, from today on you will no longer be the bishop of the main hall of the Xingluo City Wuhan Hall. After saying that, Bi Dong looked to the right side of the hall and said to a burly man who was also wearing red clothes and a 5-pointed white gold crown on his head, Lord Dilla, you will take Cross's place. On the right side of the hall stood 3 platinum bishops. The leading one was Sarath, followed closely by Lord Dilla mentioned by Bi Dong. Lord Dilla and the platinum bishop behind him knew that if Cross took the blame this time, he would definitely lose his position. At the same time, Sarath is already the person in charge of Xiandao. So as for the position on Xingluo's side, only one of them can be chosen to take over Cross's original position. When Bi Dong made the appointment, the unsuccessful platinum bishop looked disappointed, while Lord Dilla, who was appointed, looked delighted. He walked out of the queue, half knelt on the ground, and answered respectfully, "Thank you, Your Majesty the Pope." Yes. Bi Dong nodded on the high platform, then looked to the left side of the hall and instructed Yurgwen Gimri and the others, elders Zhu and Ji Yui. The destruction of the Wind Sword sect has caused the Fire Leopard sect and the Elephant Armor sect to have some inappropriate thoughts. Thank you 2 elders for coming and teaching them what to do. At the bottom of the hall, Yu Guan and Ji Yui said secretly, "Sure enough, I knew that this hard work would be done by us 2 brothers again." However, although they thought so in their hearts, they habitually answered in a respectful tone, "Understood, Your Holiness. We will let the Fire Leopard sect and the Elephant Armor sect know what the rules of the Spirit Hall are." Yes. Bi Dong looked at her 2 capable men and praised them in front of everyone. "You have always been prudent in doing things, I rest assured." In response to this, Yu Guan and Ji Yui complained in their hearts, "It's still the same as always, all nice words but no real benefits." After the meeting, Bi Dong was the only one left in the huge Pope's palace. She leaned lazily on the back of the Pope's throne, closed her eyes and rested. After a while, a short-haired woman walked out from the back of the Pope's palace and walked to Bi Dong's side. "Teacher." Hearing this voice, Bi Dong opened her eyes and said gently, "Nana, you're here. What do you want to talk to the teacher about? But is there anything you don't understand about cultivation?" Hearing this, Hulina shook her head slightly and said, "Teacher, I also heard about the incident with the Wind Sword sect. I guess you are in a bad mood right now, so I came here specially to accompany you." Hearing this, Bi Dong's eyes flashed with emotion, and her gaze towards Hulina was full of the radiance of maternal love. Nana is thoughtful. End of this chapter. Chapter 135, The Fallen and the Soul-Devouring Blade. Several days passed on the broad official road. A team of horse-drawn carriages galloped forward in the carriage at the center of the convoy. "Happy birthday, young master." The old butler smiled gently, looked at the not-so-rich 7 dishes and 3 soups on the table, and said apologetically, "The conditions outside are simple, and there are no rich ingredients. This is all I can do. I hope the young master can make do with it." "It doesn't matter." Lin Rong sat next to the old housekeeper and said nonchalantly, "It's just an 11-year-old birthday. It's not an integer. It's not that important. If you feel bad about it, Grandpa, we can make it up to you in 2 months on your 70th birthday." In the spacious carriage, there were only Lin Rong and the old butler at the moment. For a family occasion like a birthday, Duuluo, an outsider, was naturally driven by Lin Rong to the carriage at the back to keep Yang Wudi company. The chassis of the carriage was very stable, and the official road on which the carriage was traveling was also very flat and wide. Therefore, although the carriage was traveling at high speed, there was no shaking in the carriage, and they could enjoy the birthday dinner with peace of mind. Lin Rong was raised by the old housekeeper since he was a child. No one knows his eating preferences better than the old housekeeper, including himself. Therefore, the 7 dishes and 3 soups on the table all suited Lin Rong's appetite. Although there were only 2 of them dining, the one with the lowest cultivation level among them was a high-level soul emperor, so they were able to finish all 10 dishes on the table without any waste. Warm times always pass quickly after the meal. Lin Rong was just about to close his eyes and take a short rest when he sensed something and turned his head to look at the continuous mountains outside the official road. One is chasing and the other is fleeing. The leader of the pursuers has a bright aura, while the group of fugitives has a strong smell of blood, and it is still fresh. In this era, with such a distinct and obvious feature, There is no doubt that it is the spiritual law enforcement team that is hunting down the fallen. In the era of Dao Yi, there was no such thing as evil soul master in the soul master world. Similarly, in this era, people will never use martial spirit to judge a person's good or evil. For example, Bibi Dong, if it were in the era after Dao Yi, using either of the Death Spider Emperor or the Soul Devouring Spider Emperor, they would definitely be evil soul masters, not to mention that Bibi Dong possesses two at the same time. She is simply a natural evil soul master and the destined leader of the Holy Spirit Church. However, if Bibi Dong were placed in the era of Dao Yi, she would not be an evil soul master hated by everyone. Instead, she became the holy maiden of the Spirit Hall because of her outstanding talent. The fact that the Jin family, who possess the six-winged angel spirit, would do this shows that they know that it is not the spirit that determines whether a person is evil, but human beings themselves. The measure of whether a person is evil depends on what he does. Therefore, those who like killing and commit numerous evil deeds are uniformly called fallen by the Spirit Hall. The Spirit Hall claims to be righteous, and although it is hypocritical and selfish, it does spare no effort in dealing with the fallen in order to capture the fallen across the continent. The Spirit Hall established a law enforcement team. This law enforcement team represents the righteous side of the Spirit Hall's Kyangia, so it is stipulated that each team of the law enforcement team must have at least one soul master with light attributes, and no matter how strong the soul master with light attribute is, he is the captain of this team because the criterion for judging whether a person is a fallen is behavior. Only when the law enforcement team discovers that the fallen have committed evil deeds will they arrest them and imprison them in the City of Slaughter. Similarly, not every fallen is willing to go to a place like the City of Slaughter. After all, this kind of place is for the strong only, and you can only enter but not leave. In addition, the killing city has a threshold. Not everyone can enter. However, everything can be traded. You can only enter the City of Slaughter but not exit, and you cannot obtain food and various daily necessities. The Spirit Hall can provide these materials for the Slaughter City. In exchange, the Spirit Hall can ignore the threshold of the Slaughter City and send those fallen people in, making the Slaughter City a prison for them. It was precisely because of the Spirit Hall's actions that the trial field used by the Shura God to select his successors was turned into a garbage dump where all kinds of people gathered. Those fallen who want to enter the City of Slaughter but do not meet the entry standards only need to commit a crime of killing, and then wait for the Spirit Hall law enforcement team to arrest them, and then they should surrender obediently, and they will be sent in by the Spirit Hall law enforcement team as they wish. But for those fallen ones who love freedom, facing the capture of the Spirit Hall law enforcement team, they who do not want to be imprisoned in the City of Slaughter will choose to flee. These two situations for the fallen are basically half and half in the current situation. It is obvious that the Spirit Hall law enforcement team is arresting the fallen who are unwilling to enter the City of Slaughter. However, given the direction and speed they are chasing from, I'm afraid they will collide with their convoy soon. That won't do. The fact that the Po Yi clan has submitted to me cannot be known to the Spirit Hall, and if we were to be caught, it might make the Spirit Hall think that the annihilation of the Wind Sword sect was related to me. Forget it. I'll just give you a hand. Why bother detaining the fallen in some killing city? Can't we just kill them right away? Thinking of this, Lin Rong used his mental power to transmit a message to Duuluo, who was sitting in the carriage behind. Turning left on the official road, 10 miles northwest, there is a group of fallen ones and a team of Spirit Hall law enforcement officers. Remember, you have to get rid of them all. Be clean and don't leave any clues. Go quickly and come back quickly. Don't let them disturb me from enjoying the scenery along the way. In the carriage behind, Duuluo was still having dinner with Yang Wudi. After hearing Lin Rong's voice transmission, he muttered softly, "Why me again? My lord, you have so many people under you, not just me." But even though he complained, he did not dare to slack off. After hearing the content of the task, Duuluo immediately put down his bowl and chopsticks, flew out of the car window, and headed towards the northwest on the left side of the official road. About a quarter of an hour later, Duuluo came back. "My lord, everything is done." In the carriage, Duuluo reported the results of the mission, then took out a piece of cloth and spread it out, revealing an ancient black carving knife. "I got this from a fallen person. When I held this carving knife in my hand, an inexplicable force devoured my vitality and soul power. Since you are very knowledgeable, I wonder if you know what this knife is, devouring your vitality and soul power." Lin Rong looked at the carving knife in front of him and seemed to have heard of it somewhere. It was obviously an ordinary carving knife, but Lin Rong felt an extremely pure vitality from it. No, it can't be. The Plain and simple black carving knife and the pure vitality hidden in it, putting all these together, instantly reminded Lin Rong of a ranking carving knife that appeared in Dour the 99th ranked evil sword, Soul Eater. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 The Blade of Creatures. In ancient times, this continent had an extremely brilliant soul-guiding civilization. The types of soul guides are not limited to storage devices, but are diverse and flourishing. However, as time passed, the soul guide civilization was buried in the wind and sand, and all the methods of making soul guides were lost. A large number of combat soul guides were consumed in the wars of history. Only a small number of daily soul guides such as soul guide lamps and storage soul guides that can be passed down from generation to generation were passed down among the noble families. The carving knife, as a tool for engraving the core formation of soul guides, has naturally been passed down among the major forces with a long history. For example, the Lin family has a collection of 3 carving knives in their family treasury. The soul devouring knife, originally the blade of living beings, is a peerless knife made entirely of gold from living beings. Its value is no less than the finest fairy herbs, such as crystal blood dragon ginseng and acacia heartbreak red. This is because the pure vitality contained in just such a small piece of living gold is comparable to that of a million-year-old soul beast. Being able to discard such a precious treasure and choose to create such a carving knife instead, the creator of the blade of living being must definitely be an unparalleled powerful person with a soul power as high as level 99. And also a soul engineer of extremely high grade. With his soul power cultivation at level 99, he has already reached the point where he cannot make any further progress except becoming a god at level 100. Absorbing the gold of life does not help to improve his strength. As a soul guide, he chooses to forge the gold of life into the blade of life. After that, the blade of life was passed down through the years and for some unknown reason fell into the hands of a powerful fallen, evil soul master. No one knew what the fallen one had in mind when he cast a curse on the blade of life, turning it into the soul-eating sword, a vicious sword that would now backfire on its host. Only by purifying the curse on the soul-devouring knife can the knife be transformed back into a living blade. Otherwise, it will become a murderous knife that will devour its owner. Purifying the curse is not difficult for Lin Rong. Although he did not have the personal plug-in of the holy necromancer Alex, he could not use the magic circle to purify the curse on the soul-devouring knife. But there is more than one way to remove a curse. The innate domain granted to him by the 9-bend-vine dragon has a domain-specific effect, the life dragon soul, which can transform anything harmful to itself into pure vitality. Therefore, Lin Rong only needs to pick up the soul-devouring knife and let the curse on it touch himself, which will trigger the effect of the life dragon soul and transform it into pure vitality. With Lin Rong's current soul power cultivation level of level 66, and the vine dragon domain that has evolved to the 2nd stage and is not far from the 3rd stage, the speed at which the curse erodes him will definitely not exceed the speed at which the life dragon soul purifies the curse. Facing Dugubo's question, Lin Rong picked up the ancient black carving knife through a layer of cloth and answered concisely, "I'm not a know-it-all, so how would I know what this is? However, I can sense that there is a huge and pure life force hidden under this carving knife. This is a great opportunity for me. You did a good job on this matter. You have made a great contribution. Here, take this." As he spoke, a stream of light flew out from the dragon-patterned jade bead on Lin Rong's wrist and hovered in front of Dugubo. When the light faded, a right leg soul bone filled with explosive power appeared in front of Dugubo. This is a 57,000-year-old right leg bone. It was one of the trophies I got from Tang Hao after I killed him. Although the attributes are not compatible with yours, the age is over 50,000 years, and the soul bone is extremely complete. This quality is enough to make up for the defect of incompatible attributes. It's a pity that you have already absorbed the torso bone that is more than 10,000 years old. Otherwise I have another torso bone that is 78,000 years old to give you. Dugubo was delighted to hear the first 2 sentences, but the last sentence made him feel that the soul bone in front of him was not so attractive anymore. How much? 78,000 years. Trunk bones. If he had known this earlier, he would not have been in a hurry to absorb the torso bone that was over 10,000 years old. Although his aptitude was improved and his soul power successfully broke through the 96th level, he lost a piece of top-quality torso bone that was nearly 80,000 years old. "Sir." Dugubo wanted to cry but had no tears. He said bitterly. Actually, you don't have to tell me the last sentence. Without comparison, there will be no harm. The gap is too big. Holding this 57,000-year-old soul bone, I feel empty inside. I don't feel happy at all, really. In response, Lin Rong looked at the carving knife in his hand and replied half-jokingly, if you're not satisfied, return it and get another one. However, the only soul bone in my hand that corresponds to the soul bone you didn't absorb is the 23,000-year-old right arm bone. Are you sure you want to change? Upon hearing this, Duuluo waved his hands repeatedly. No, 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 this soul bone is very good. I am very satisfied, having said that, Duuluo put away the soul bone, hurriedly left the carriage, and returned to the carriage behind. What a joke. 50,000 years for 20,000 years. Although the right arm bone is much more precious than the right leg bone, the difference in age is more than 30,000 years. The integrity of a soul bone that is over 50,000 years old is enough to surpass a soul bone that is 49,999 years old. Even if it was a 49,999-year-old torso bone, it could not compare to a 50,000-year-old right leg bone with excellent integrity. Duuluo is not a fool. How could he do such an idiotic thing as changing soul bones? In the carriage, the old housekeeper looked at the carving knife in Lin Rong's hand and asked curiously, young master, is this carving knife so precious? Is it worth it for you to give up a soul bone that is more than 50,000 years old as a reward for Duuluo's discovery of this knife? Because, in his opinion, with the soul guide technology lost today, no matter how precious the carving knife is, it is just a valuable collectible and has no practical use. Of course it's worth it. Lin Rong looked up at the old butler and replied, the value of this carving knife lies in its material, not the carving knife itself, Grandpa. You don't be fooled by its dark appearance now. Wait until I use the dragon soul of life to remove the curse on it and the carving knife returns to its original appearance, and then you will know. As he spoke, Lin Rong wrapped his right hand with his vitality, removed the cloth covering the carving knife, and grasped the handle of the carving knife under the worried gaze of the old housekeeper. The moment his finger skin touched the handle of the carving knife, the curse began to erode Lin Rong. Similarly, Lin Rong unfolded his talent field. The life dragon soul effect was triggered, and he began to transform the curse on the carving knife into pure vitality bit by bit. End of this chapter. Chapter 137 Border Inspection. On the side, the old butler saw that the curse on the carving knife really could not harm the young master, so he put his worries aside in order to save soul power. Lin Rong's innate domain only covered the soul devouring knife in his hand. The curse on the carving knife is very powerful, but no matter how strong the power is, without energy replenishment it is just like a rootless duckweed. As time went by, the cursed power on the soul-devouring knife was gradually transformed into life by the life dragon soul. The weakening of the curse's power meant that the soul-devouring knife could no longer maintain its ancient black appearance, and the knife's own transparent emerald green color gradually emerged. About 2 hours later, the curse on the carving knife was completely removed, and the entire carving knife returned to its original appearance as the blade of life. The entire piece is emerald green and flawless, like a beautiful work of art made from the finest jade. Lin Rong took a breath, looked at the blade of life in his hand, and a look of joy appeared on his face. After 2 hours of transformation, the curse was finally removed. I didn't expect that something that Electrolux could purify in an instant took me so long. He is a god after all. Even though only a trace of his consciousness remains, his power level is still far beyond what I can currently compare to. Besides, purifying evil forces is a professional task for Electrolux, so it's normal for him to be faster than me. At this time, the 9-curved vine dragon, who had been curled up and dozing in Lin Rong's sleeve, seemed to sense the pure vitality contained in the blade of life. It flew out from his sleeve and circled around the blade of life. A slight dragon roar came from the 9-bend vine dragon's mouth. Lin Rong, who was in tune with its mind, immediately understood and said, "Don't worry, absorbing the gold of living beings cannot be accomplished overnight. We are still on the way back to Xiandao City. The carriage is not a suitable place for retreat. We'll talk about it after we get back home." Considering the property of living gold that it can decompose metals and ores, in order to store the living blade, Lin Rong thought for a moment and took out a wooden box. Wood is not included in the category of metals and ores, and will not be decomposed by the unique characteristics of living gold. Therefore, the wooden box can be used as a container for storing the living blade. Leaving the border of Sky Dou Empire, the convoy of horse-drawn carriages stopped at the border entrance for routine inspection. Logically speaking, As the hereditary Duke of the Sky Dou Empire, Lin Rong only needs to state his identity and can enter the country without undergoing immigration inspection. However, although the soldiers at these border checkpoints are nominally affiliated with the Sky Dou Empire, the members of the patrol team are directly under the command of a kingdom. Under the Sky Dou Empire, Lin Rong learned from the ghosts that all the kingdoms and principalities on the continent had secretly surrendered to the spirit hall. There are records of customs inspection. Although revealing one's identity could save one from tedious inspections, entering it into the archives would be equivalent to exposing one's whereabouts to the spirit hall. Therefore, even if it is a little troublesome, he can still wait for this period of time. There were a total of 24 carriages in the carriage convoy, excluding the 2 carriages carrying Lin Rong, the old butler, Duuluo and Yang Wudi. The remaining 22 carriages were occupied by more than 200 members of the Pazi clan. The so-called border inspection is actually to check whether you are carrying any prohibited items. However, this type of inspection has many loopholes, such as not searching personal belongings and not checking storage soul guides. Lin Rong didn't quite understand the former, but could easily understand the latter. Soul guides, as the name implies, require soul power to use, and they are rare. A person who possesses a soul guide is either a nobleman of distinguished status or a powerful soul master. No matter which one it is, ordinary soldiers cannot afford to offend them. The situation in the original novel where Tang San was robbed of his money by 3 despicable villains at the border of the empire is basically impossible to happen. After all, the 3 despicable villains are alone and can leave whenever they want. But these soldiers are not like that. If the nobles and soul masters who were robbed want to take revenge, their families and relatives will suffer. After a while, the soldiers finished checking all the carriages. The leading soldier captain came forward with a pen and paper in his hand and said, "So many people, immigrating with their whole families. What's your identity? Where are you from? Where are you going to settle down? I want to register." The captain of the soldiers said this very politely, because there were so many carriages and there was not a single piece of supplies stored in the carriages. They must be in the storage soul guides. The supplies needed by more than 200 people. This group of people possesses at least 10 storage soul guides, which indirectly shows that their identities are not ordinary. Among the crowd, Duuluo and Yang Wudi were not good at talking to others, nor could they make up stories on the spot. Therefore, after hearing the question from the captain of the soldiers, the old butler Yu Yuan took the lead and answered calmly, "We are a family of medicine. We are migrating here to return to our family in Xiandao." After listening, the captain of the soldiers discovered that a gold soul coin card with a face value of 10,000 appeared in the book he was opening. Although I didn't see the old man in front of me make any movements, the gold soul coin card in the book would not lie. This made him instantly determine that the gentle old man in front of him was an extremely powerful soul master. Is that so? The captain of the soldiers pretended to be calm, picked up a pen and pretended to write something in a book. In the process, he put the gold soul coin card into his sleeve without leaving a trace. "No problem, you can enter now." As he spoke, the captain of the soldiers turned around and signaled his men to open the border gate. Seeing this, more than 200 people returned to the carriages and passed the border safely. In the carriage, Duuluo, who had been silent at the border checkpoint just now, asked, "Sir, didn't Jihuagun give you the elder order?" Between him and Old Ghost, as long as you show us the Spirit Hall elder token, there's no need to waste those 10,000 gold soul coins. Hearing this, Lin Rong still leaned against the window and looked at the scenery outside, and said without turning his head, "It is the royal family of the kingdom and duchy who defected to the Spirit Hall, not the soldiers at the border checkpoint." Before the Spirit Hall breaks off relations with the 2 empires, these royal families will not let anyone other than their confidants know that they have defected to the Spirit Hall. Therefore, taking out the elder order can only exempt you from the 10,000 gold soul coins. You still have to register what you need to register. The Spirit Hall elder brought more than 200 people through the empire's border. The soldiers will definitely report this to their masters. Right now, the matter of the Feng sect being destroyed is very exciting. The more the situation is at the forefront, the more cautious we must be. It's worth spending 10,000 gold soul coins to avoid potential troubles and risks. You have to remember one thing: any problem that can be solved with money is not a problem, but you can't feel bad about spending the money you should spend. End of this chapter. Chapter 138 Settlement. In fact, Duuluo himself understood the intricacies behind these matters. However, according to his usual character, he would not think in this direction. Especially with his recent surge in strength, he became a little complacent. Whenever he encountered any problem, The first thing he thought of was to solve it with his fists, and the second was to solve it with power. The only thing they don't think of is using wisdom and worldly wisdom to solve the problem. This is also human nature. If one has the cultivation level of a titled Douluo and has been in a high position for many years, he will be flattered by others, and he does not need to flatter others. Over time, he will not consider these things when doing things until it becomes a habit. The carriage convoy headed north. Half a month later, in a manor on the outskirts of Xiandao City on the well-maintained and flat road, everyone walked into the manor. In front of everyone, the old butler, one step behind Lin Rong, introduced Yang Wudi next to him. This manor is ostensibly owned by a mysterious wealthy businessman, but in reality it belongs to the Lin family and is one of the many private properties of the Lin family. Patriarch Yang, you and your Poi clan will live here from now on. This manor is located on the outskirts of Xiandao City. It is surrounded by mountains and rivers, has a quiet and peaceful environment, and covers a vast area. It was a residence he carefully selected from the many private properties of the Lin family according to Yang Wudi's preferences. Walking on the road in the manor, Yang Wudi turned his head and looked around, with a look of satisfaction on his old face. Very good, beautiful scenery, quiet environment. I am very satisfied. This aristocratic family that has been passed down for thousands of years is really different. They have everything they need, especially real estate. This is just a private property hidden in secret, but it's so magnificent. My Poi clan is also an ancient family with a long heritage. It's a pity that the inheritance of our ancestors was interrupted. The current Yang family has only been passed down for more than 100 years. Yang Wudi was deeply moved by these words. Dugubo, who was standing by, couldn't help but nod his head, believing what Yang Wudi said. The contents of the books on herbs and poisons passed down by the Pazi clan were so profound that even a knowledgeable titled Douluo like him could not help but marvel at them. From this point alone, it can be seen that the Pazi clan has a long heritage, and their ancestors must have been wealthy in this regard. Lin Rong firmly believed in Yang Wudi's words. After all, the knowledge of medicine and poisons of the Pazi clan is comparable to that of the Tang sect in another world, so how could their origin be simple? As long as Patriarch Yang is satisfied. The old butler walked and stretched out his right hand to point to the southeast. To the southeast of here, there is a manor belonging to the Lin family. Lord Long Mengshu and his family live there. He, like you, has already submitted to the Duke. As neighbors, you can interact more often on weekdays to enhance your relationship. Back when the Xiaotian sect was still the #1 sect in the world, Mengshu and Zhao Xiangxiang had already made a name for themselves as peerless talents. As a member of the Poi clan, which was one of the affiliated clans of the Xiaotian sect, Yang Wudi naturally knew about the figure of Longgong Mengshu. Mengshu? Oh, I remember him. Yang Wudi thought for a moment and quickly remembered this person. When the name of the peerless dragon snake spread, Mengshu was just a soul saint. After so many years, he should have broken through to the Contra realm if nothing unexpected happened. Dragon Lord Mengshu, the martial soul dragon head crutch, I have long wanted to learn from him. It is only right for me to communicate more with him. As Yang Wudi said this last sentence, a hint of fiery fighting spirit flashed in his eyes. Before you go to compete with Mengshu, Lin Rong reminded Yang Wudi of what he had instructed. Should I refine the colorful ones I want? Before, in Yufeng City, you were busy arranging the trivial matters of the tribe's migration and had no time to refine it. But now you are free. Why don't you hurry up and refine this forbidden poison and give it to me? Don't put it off and forget about it. This. Hearing this, Yang Wudi felt a little embarrassed and quickly replied, I'm sorry, sir. I've been so busy lately that I really forgot about it, but don't worry, I will go and refine it right away. After saying that, Yang Wudi turned around and left. Wait. Lin Rong stopped him, pointed at Dugubo behind him, and said, there's no rush for the poison, just don't forget it. We have to prioritize. Before you refine the colorful magic, you should first help this guy cure his granddaughter of the poison, otherwise, this guy will come to me and nag about this all day long. Hearing this, Dugubo, who was about to block Yang Wudi's way, stopped what he was doing. He immediately recalled that he had stayed in the Duke's mansion just to urge Lin Rong to leave earlier. He laughed a little embarrassedly. I'm sorry, sir. This matter is too important to me. I didn't mean to disturb you. Then, Dugubo turned around and walked to Yang Wudi, put his arm on his shoulders, and said, Old Yang, let me tell you, my Yanian has not been able to condense a pill bead like mine. then you have to switch to a different treatment method. In order to ensure the safety of my Yan'an, you must think carefully and make sure there is no mistake with the new treatment method. Otherwise, I will never forgive you." Humph. Yang Wudi was quite angry when he saw that Dugubo dared to question his ability in this area. "I cured your poison. Don't you know what I am capable of? According to what you told me before, your granddaughter's cultivation is still shallow, and the poison of her martial soul backlash is not as serious as yours. Even if your granddaughter's martial spirit has not condensed into a pill bead, she cannot use the pill bead to carry the backlash poison of the martial spirit like you, an old poisoner. Then you can use other containers instead. When your granddaughter condenses the elixir bead in the future, you can transfer the poison in the container to the elixir bead. As for the container that replaces the Danzhu, it is best to use a soul bone. Of course, if it is an external soul bone, it can completely replace the Danzhu, and there is no need to transfer the poison in the future. A container to replace the Danzhu? Soul bone." Dugubo immediately looked at Lin Rong for help, rubbing his hands and asked, "Sir, I have absorbed all the soul bones you gave me before. I can't give Yan'an a soul bone to use as a container for storing poison right now. Can you please?" "Yes, yes." Looking at Dugubo's pleading eyes, Lin Rong took out a soul bone and said, "I give you this 23,000-year-old right arm bone as an advance payment for your mission reward. When you are rewarded with soul bones in the future, there will be no share for you." The soul bone flew through the air and landed steadily in Dugubo's hands. "Right arm bone, although it's not the torso bone that the adults mentioned that's over 70,000 years old, it's at least not the left arm bone that's less than 20,000 years old. I've made a profit by picking the tallest one among the short ones." End of this chapter. Chapter 139, Devouring Soul's Blade. Dugubo was still very grateful for this. After all, even if it is an advance reward, there must be an advance reward. A right arm bone that was more than 20,000 years old was fully capable of containing the backlash poison of the martial spirit accumulated in his granddaughter's body. If it is not enough in the future, he will find new soul bones for his granddaughter until his granddaughter condenses a pill bead that can perfectly carry the backlash poison of the martial soul. However, thinking of this, Dugubo felt a little worried and asked the people around him, "My Yan'an absorbed 3 Dragon Rhythm Immortal Ganoderma pills, and her martial soul showed some signs of becoming a dragon. What if this factor causes Yan'an's martial soul to be unable to condense into a pill? Well, let me think about it." Yang Wudi thought for a moment and said, "The Dragon Rhythm Immortal Ganoderma pill was made by me. Although I have never eaten it, I have a general idea of its effects. I just took 3 pills, and my martial soul has shown some signs of becoming a dragon. It shouldn't be a big problem, as long as the martial soul does not evolve. The unique feature of your martial soul, such as condensing Danzhu, will not change. That's good." Dugubo breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that. "There is no time to lose. I will go and bring Yan'an here right now. Old Yang, you should quickly prepare the things we will need later." After saying that, Dugubo disappeared from the spot without a trace. "What an impatient person," Yang Wudi muttered, then turned to Lin Rong and said, "Sir, I will go and get ready first. Goodbye." After settling the Pazi clan, Lin Rong returned to the Duke's mansion. Lin's manor, banyan tree forest. Lush green covers the entire banyan forest. The green banyan leaves grow on the complex branches and intertwine with each other, covering the blue sky above the forest. Lin Rong walked leisurely in the woods, with a 9-curved vine dragon flying around him. A slightly chilly breeze blew by, and the leaves swayed gently, making a rustling sound. The direction of the swaying of each leaf changed with the direction of the 9-curved vine dragon's flight, as if welcoming the arrival of the emperor. It has only been 5 years since these banyan trees were planted, but under the influence of the aura emitted by the 9-curved vine dragon, they seem to have grown for decades, and all of them awakened their intelligence and transformed into plant soul beasts. Similarly, as a place for mimicry training, the effect of this banyan forest is also enhanced, almost offsetting the fact that the higher the soul power level, the slower the training speed. In the center of the banyan forest, Lin Rong walked to the tallest banyan tree, sat down, and took out the wooden box containing the blade of life. Seeing this, the 9-curved vine dragon that was flying low in the banyan tree forest immediately shrank, wrapped itself around Lin Rong's wrist, and watched eagerly as the box was opened. Before opening the wooden box, Lin Rong said to Zhuge Tenglong, "Xiaoking, let the banyan tree forest seal this place off." In response to a faint dragon roar, The 9-curved vine dragon returned to its normal size and flew into the air. The vine dragon domain was released from its body, covering the entire banyan forest suddenly. With the blessing of the power of the domain, the branches of the banyan trees and the vines growing on the trunks grew wildly and entangled with each other, but in just a moment, the entire banyan forest was locked except for the open space where Lin Rong was, leaving no gap around the open space. The vines and leaves emitted a little fluorescence, acting as a light source to illuminate this enclosed space. After doing this, the 9-curved vine dragon quickly shrank and flew back to Lin Rong's wrist. Lin Rong opened the wooden box, picked up the life blade in the box, and said to the 9-curved vine dragon on his wrist, "Okay. Come back to my sea of consciousness." The 9-curved vine dragon nodded, and its body began to become illusory, turning into a stream of light and merging into Lin Rong's body. Then, Lin Rong placed a blade of life in his hand on his forehead and silently practiced the washing Marrow Sutra. Light golden mental power surged out from between his brows and was injected into the blade of life that was attached to his forehead. In an instant, the blade of life burst out with a dazzling green light, turning Lin Rong's entire body green. An extremely rich life force continuously flowed into his body through his eyebrows. This tremendous life force did not spread wantonly in his body, but circulated throughout his meridians under the control of the Zisa meridian. After completing the circulation of the whole body, the life force refined by the Marrow Cleansing Sutra was divided into 3 parts and integrated into Lin Rong's body. One portion is integrated into the flesh and blood, one portion is integrated into the sea of consciousness, and the last portion is used to nourish the trace of divinity in the body. The gentle and pure life force constantly nourishes Lin Rong's body and sea of consciousness, and the comfortable feeling makes him feel as if he has returned to the period of inception after an unknown amount of time. The life force that the body could absorb reached saturation first, and the life force that was divided into 3 parts suddenly split into 2 parts and continued to merge into the sea of consciousness and divinity. Divinity itself is a bottomless pit, so it is not surprising that it can keep absorbing. As for why the sea of consciousness has not reached saturation like the physical body, it is because the life force that has been integrated into the sea of consciousness is not only used to nourish the spiritual sea, but the original power of the 9-curved vine dragon has also been absorbing this life force to strengthen itself in the sea of spirit. The complete form of the 9-curved vine dragon is condensed. A towering banyan tree stands in the center of the spiritual sea, with countless banyan tree saplings growing around it, forming a dense banyan forest. The 9-curved vine dragon, which had returned to its vine form, coiled itself around the trunk of the banyan tree and fell asleep with its eyes closed. The scale on its neck exuded a strong breath of life. All the life force that was integrated into the sea of consciousness was absorbed by this dragon scale. Most of it was directly integrated into the origin of the 9-curved vine dragon, and a small part of it was fed back to the sea of spirit. Lin Rong did not choose to integrate a blade of life into his body to transform it into the eye of life, but instead planned to completely devour the pure life force contained therein. With such a bottomless pit of divinity, he could completely absorb the vitality of a million-year-old soul beast. As time went by, the essence of the 9-curved vine dragon grew to its current limit, and all of its remaining vitality was fed to its divinity, which had grown hundreds of times stronger. Lin Rong estimated that his physical body absorbed about 10% of the total vitality of the living blade, and his sea of consciousness absorbed 30%. In other words, the divinity can absorb up to 60% of the vitality. It has devoured the life energy of so many of my rare herbs, and now it has absorbed 60% of the vitality of the blade of life. Finally, my divinity is no longer so pitiful. Once the divinity has absorbed all of the vitality of the living blade, my blood should be considered the blood of a demigod. In that case, wouldn't I be a moving treasure of heaven and earth? Dispelling this unreasonable thought, Lin Rong thought about what to do next. After my body was baptized by the blade of the living being, the 100,000-year spirit ring is far from the limit of what I can bear. After I break through level 70, I will absorb the power of the crystal blood dragon and the acacia heart broken red to condense my natal spirit ring. I can try to increase the age limit. The age of the 7th soul ring must have at least 3 golden lines as a foundation, 3 golden patterns, a 300,000-year spirit ring. It would be impossible to go beyond that because the effect of the medicine is not equal to the total amount of energy. The value of the crystal blood dragon participating in the acacia heartbreak red is equivalent to the blade of the living being, but the combined energy is at most equivalent to the cultivation level of a soul beast of 300,000 years. However, although the ability of the crystal blood dragon to participate in the acacia heartbreak red was condensed into its natal soul ring, most of its medicinal effects can still work on him. which can be regarded as killing two birds with one stone. End of this chapter. Chapter 140 Life Dragon Scale. In the outside world, the sun rises and the moon sets, and the stars move in the sealed banyan forest. The blade of life that was attached to Lin Rong's forehead no longer had the emerald green color it once had. It had become gray and white, dull, and even more inconspicuous than when it was in the form of a soul-devouring knife. At a certain moment, when the last trace of life energy contained in the blade of life was extracted, there was a sound of clang. The gray and dull carving knife fell on the grass, and the handle and blade shattered into countless tiny pieces that were buried in the grass and soil in the dim clearing in the forest. As Lin Rong opened his eyes, two dazzling light golden lights flashed by. The jet black, clear black eyes turned light gold under the rendering of mental power. If you look closely, you will find that the shadow of the cyan dragon is reflected in the light gold pupils. A faint dragon roar sounded out of nowhere, and a pure dragon power was released. The shadow of the dragon soul of the 9-curved vine dragon appeared above Lin Rong's head, and it turned from virtual to real and hovered in the air in the welcome of the banyan tree forest. A moon-white scale on its neck exudes a faint green glow, silently telling of its extraordinariness. Soon, as his mental power gradually faded, the light golden pupils in Lin Rong's eyes turned back to black, and the cyan gold dragon shadow reflected in his pupils also disappeared. I didn't expect that after the life energy contained in the gold of living beings is exhausted, it will turn into scrap metal. Looking down at the gray-white fragments on the grass that shattered at the slightest touch, Lin Rong couldn't help but feel a little regretful. I thought that after the life energy was exhausted, the properties of the life gold itself that could decompose metals and ores could be preserved, so that we could infuse life force into it and use the life blade as a super large battery. Oh, what a pity. Lin Rong only felt a little regretful about this, so he stopped thinking about it and began to sort out the gains from this retreat. A blade of life contained the vitality equivalent to that of a million-year-old soul beast. The benefits gained after fully absorbing it would undoubtedly be extremely enormous. Now his physical fitness is strong enough to rank among the top 3 among all soul masters in the entire continent. The divinity that absorbed 60% of the life energy of the living blade increased explosively. The divinity merged into the flesh and blood, allowing the body to begin to evolve into a divine body, faintly emitting an immortal glow invisible to ordinary people. In addition, the quality of mental power has been improved in terms of quality. Mental strength has completely reached the tangible and material level in terms of quantity. The surging spiritual power in the sea of spirit gave Lin Rong absolute confidence that his current total spiritual power would not be worse than the 399 purest allos in the world, and might even be much stronger than them. Moreover, because the origin of mental power has been fused with some divinity, a part of the mental power has begun to transform into spiritual consciousness. The level of this part of mental power is higher than the tangible mental power, but lower than the true spiritual consciousness. It can be regarded as the threshold of just stepping into the half-step spiritual consciousness. Similarly, the 9-curved vine dragon's martial soul origin also absorbed some divinity and began to evolve towards the god-level martial soul. The moon-white reverse scale, or life dragon scale on its neck, began to glow after absorbing 30% of the life energy of the blade of life. The 9-bend vine dragon spirit was formed by the fusion of the two major spirits, the dragon spirit vine and the 1,000-leaf banyan, under the influence of the power of the Marrow Cleansing Sutra. After Lin Rong named it the 9-bend vine dragon, in the process of absorbing spirit rings to evolve, he was also influencing the evolution direction of the spirit according to his idea in the story of the previous life. The 9-bend vine dragon itself is the guardian of the dragon scales of life, and he also referred to the saying the dragon has a reverse scale, and anyone who touches it will die. He used the power of the Washing Marrow Sutra to convey this idea and influence the general direction of the 9-curved vine dragon's evolution. When it absorbed the soul ring to evolve, the moon-white reverse scale on the neck of the 9-curved vine dragon was completely evolved into dragon scale. After Lin Rong absorbed the 5th soul ring, the greenwood twin lotus in the previous battle with Yang Wudi in Yufeng City, the dragon scale shield that was transformed from the dragon scale was actually transformed from this inverse scale. The current characteristic of the reverse scale is hardness. As for what will happen after the reverse scale is broken, he is not sure, but based on the famous saying if you touch it, you will die, he can roughly guess what will happen with the help of the banyan heart, an external soul bone. Lin Rong is not afraid of the side effects after the reverse scale is broken. If the side effects are too strong, he can just commit suicide and then revive with full blood anyway. The calling time of the life-saving trump card transferring flowers and grafting trees is getting shorter and shorter as the age of the soul bones increases, so he can afford to play it. But Lin Rong didn't expect that Yang Wudi was useless. His strongest attack failed to break the reverse scale. Instead, the tip of his own soul-breaking spear showed signs of breaking finally. There is the soul bone. Although the life energy of the blade of life was divided into 3 parts and shared by the physical body, the sea of consciousness, and the divinity, the soul bone in Lin Rong's body also got some leftovers: 3 regular soul bones and 2 external soul bones of these 5 soul bones, except for the 100,000-year-old blue-silver emperor's right leg bone. The other 4 soul bones can absorb energy and evolve among them. The external soul bones with the youngest age, the banyan tree heart and the Kong King's Yu had soul bone, both of which have increased in age from over 20,000 years to over 30,000 years. The oldest external soul bone, the Emperor's Holy Spear, had an initial age of more than 85,000 years. Before he absorbed the Blade of Life, its age reached more than 89,000 years. After eating these leftovers, the age successfully broke the limit of 100,000 years, becoming the second 100,000-year soul bone he owned. As for the left leg bone of the Thundering Hell Vine, which ranks in the middle in age, its current age is just over 25,000 years old. Because this soul bone can only absorb the power of thunder to evolve, just like the 100,000-year-old blue-silver emperor's right leg bone that cannot evolve, it is not qualified to eat this luxurious leftovers. Therefore, the age of the left leg bone of the Thundering Hell Vine has not changed and is still more than 25,000 years old. The banyan wood heart and Kong King's Yu had soul bones, which had a big meal, overtook it and fell to the last place in the age ranking of the 5 major soul bones. The increase in the age of soul bones has reduced the culling time of the banyan heart soul bone skill, transplanting flowers and grafting trees, from the original 10 years to more than 2 years now. For a banyan tree heart that is more than 500 years old, the culling time for grafting is 10 years. For a banyan tree heart that is more than 5,000 years old, the culling time for grafting is more than 5 years now. The age of the banyan heart has been increased to more than 30,000 years, but the culling time for grafting will take more than 2 years. By observing the growth process of the banyan heart and the changes in the culling time of this soul skill, Lin Rong came to a conclusion. End of this chapter. Chapter 141. Master and apprentice are strangers. As a magical skill that can save lives, it is impossible for such a powerful soul skill to completely eliminate the cooldown of the soul skill as the age of the soul bone increases. Instead, there will be an upper limit according to his estimation. When the age of the external soul bone banyan heart is increased to 100,000 years, the cooling limit of the soul skill of transplanting flowers and grafting trees will be reached. The culling time of the previous soul skills is far from this upper limit, so after the age of the soul bones is increased, the culling time of the flower transferring skill is greatly reduced. However, as the culling time of the grafting technique gradually approaches the upper limit, the culling time decreases more and more slowly, referring to the side effects of Oscar and Ning Rongrong joining forces to resurrect Tang San in the original novel. The upper limit of the culling time of the flower transplanting technique should be 1 year, during which time the banyan heart will lose most of its abilities and cannot be used. The age of the left leg bone of the Thundering Hell Vine is too low. It seems that I have to take some time to go to the Thunder Canyon and let this soul bone absorb the thunder energy to increase its age. Lin Rong pondered in his mind, stood up from under the banyan tree, put away the vine dragon field to restore the banyan forest to normal, and turned to walk out of the forest outside the woods. The old butler stood there waiting. Seeing this, Lin Rong asked, "Grandpa Yu, how long have I been in seclusion this time?" It was early morning and the breeze was slightly chilly. 7 days. The old butler answered briefly, walked behind Lin Rong and put a cloak on him. Lin Rong nodded and walked forward. 7 days? That's not too long. By the way, has Yang Wudi delivered the colorful ones I asked for? Not yet. The old butler followed Lin Rong and answered, Yu Yuan's treatment was just finished yesterday, and it will take at least 2 to 3 days to refine the 7-colored blossom. Patriarch Yang will have to refine the colorful jellyfish and send it over tomorrow at the earliest. In addition, there has been progress in the matters that Shi Nian is responsible for. Shi Nian? Uzia Gang. Lin Rong paused. There had been so many things going on recently that he almost forgot about this. How far have you progressed? Uzia Gang left Xiandao City a day ago. According to the information sent back by the spies, he is heading towards Wuhan City. The old butler said slowly, the news about the Wind Sword sect has spread among the top dignitaries on the continent. The Dean of Blue Tire Anasaurus Rex, Liu Erlong, has connections with a Blue Lightning Tier and a Saurus sect, and was one of the first people to learn of the news. After Yu Gang learned the news from Liu Erlong, he didn't react much. However, that night, after Xinian cast the nightmare to create a dream, Yu Gang didn't know what he dreamed about, and he spoke a lot of unclear sleep talk. Early in the morning of the second day, which was yesterday morning, Yu Gang quietly left Xiandao City without telling Liu Erlong in Flanders. As for the reason, neither I nor Xinian have any experience in love, so we really don't know. After listening, Lin Rong sighed. Is it really like this? But I'm single too. This, forget it. The way a love brain thinks is not something a normal person can understand. Anyway, it's correct for Yu Gang to go find Bibi Dong. As for the process, that's not important. In the mountains, a carriage was galloping forward. It's still too slow. Go faster, sir. This is already the fastest. I'll pay you more, and you just speed up. As soon as he finished speaking, a dozen glittering gold soul coins were thrown out from the carriage and landed next to the coachman. Okay. The driver excitedly picked up the gold soul coins, took off his cloth shoes and stuffed a counted 17 gold soul coins into the soles of his shoes. Then, after putting on his shoes, he waved the whip vigorously. The mountain road is rugged, sir. You have to sit tight. In the bumpy carriage, Yu Gang sat leaning against the window, looking at the scenery outside the window with a melancholy and vicissitudes of life look, his eyes flickering, as if recalling something. Bibi Dong, you were coerced by Kyank Sunji to play that trick in front of me, but I failed to see through it, causing us, a pair of true lovers, to be separated for more than 20 years. This time, I won't be confused anymore. Everyone in the world believes that the destruction of the Wind Sword sect was caused by the Spirit Hall, but I believe in you, Bibi Dong. No one understands you, no one believes you, but I am different. This time, I will stand firmly on your side. Bibi Dong, come back to me. As long as you are willing to come back to me, I will forgive you regardless of the past. Yu Gang imagined the scene of himself meeting Bibi Dong, and a smile from the bottom of his heart appeared on his face. He was so magnanimous that he was not willing to care about the fact that Bibi Dong's lies had hurt him so deeply. So, it is not excessive at all for Bibi Dong to use the power of the Pope to help him realize his dream. Unlike in the original novel, Yu Gang has no idea how deeply Bibi Dong loves him at this time. With the help of Xinian's nightmares day after day, Yu Gang deeply understood in his dreams how much Bibi Dong loved him and that she would definitely return to him. Yu Gang had already determined in his heart that there must be some hidden story behind what happened back then. And he pinned the source of the secret on Bibi Dong's teacher Jin's Unji. If I were in his place, I would definitely not hand over such an outstanding disciple to an outsider. The reason why he didn't go to find Bibi Dong was because of Yu Gang's pitiful self-esteem as a man of great stature. How could he go to his first love and apologize in a humble manner? The pride in Yu Gang's heart did not allow him to do so. So, Yu Gang was waiting for a suitable opportunity, an opportunity that would allow him to turn passivity into initiative. The incident of the Fengjian sect being exterminated was such a suitable opportunity. Everyone thought that this was done by the Spirit Hall, but he was different. Even though he thought so in his heart, he still said, Bibi Dong, I believe you. In this way, the matter of looking for Bibi Dong changed from a humble apology to a matter of concern and care for Bibi Dong, who was not understood by the world at the moment. He went to find her because he loved her. The golden generation, their talent is just so-so. Yu Gang began to fantasize, having broken through to Soul Sect at the age of 16 or 17, you are barely qualified to receive my guidance. However, this level of talent is still not enough. Teaching them will not make me a master recognized by the world. No, we need Danger to send people from the Spirit Hall to search the continent thoroughly. If a genius as outstanding as Danger can emerge from the poor, there's no reason why there won't be a second one, even if it's just a little worse. I don't ask for twin martial souls, but at least I have to have the talent of full innate soul power. With my guidance, this kind of genius will definitely not be worse than that damn Tang Xiaotian. It's nothing to break through level 30 at the age of 11. My future disciples will definitely be able to break this record. On the roof, Tang San, who had just finished practicing the purple demon pupil, sneezed twice. Caught a cold? No, I have the Xiaotian internal force to protect me. Logically, I shouldn't get this kind of minor illness, but I remember hearing in my previous life that sneezing when you are not sick is because someone is thinking, scolding and muttering about you. I just sneezed twice in a row, which means someone is cursing me behind my back. Damn it. Who on earth dares to curse me behind my back? You deserve to die. Don't let me know who it is. Otherwise, end of this chapter. Chapter 142. Under the Dusk. Wuhan City. A tea house box at the end of the street. Yu Yuan sat in a corner of the box, reading the letter in his hand with a strange look on his face, and said calmly to the newly hired servant of the tea house next to him, "Okay, I understand. If you don't have any other instructions, please leave." "Yes, I'll take my leave." The servant standing nearby answered respectfully and turned to leave the box. After the servant left, the ghost sitting next to Yu Yuan put down the teacup in his hand and asked, "What happened? What made you look so weird?" "Let me see." As he spoke, Gimli took the letter from Yu Yuan's hand, glanced at it quickly, and his expression became as strange as Yu Yuan's just now. "It's actually this matter, but it happened so many years ago. How did you know about it, sir? Moreover, the current leader, Bibi Dong, is she really still in love with Yu Gang, this loser? Can this man be so charming that Bibi Dong still misses him after more than 20 years? Jihuagwan, what are you going to do about this matter? Help Yu Gang to meet Bibi Dong, who is now the Pope of the Spirit Hall, without letting anyone notice any traces of our actions. This mission is a little bit more difficult." After reading the letter, the ghost consciously handed over the thinking work to his old friend, and he only needed to be an obedient tool. Yu Yuan was also worried about this matter, and said irritably, "According to the time Yu Gang set out in the letter, he still has about half a month to travel to Wuhan City. There's still plenty of time. Let me think about it, old ghost. Don't just stand there and be lazy. Help me think of a solution. This is the first time the adults have given us a task, and we must not allow failure." Regarding this confusing task, the two of them tacitly did not think about why the adults asked them to do this. Having worked under Kyank Sunji and Biberdong for many years, they have long understood one thing: a qualified subordinate only needs to obey orders and complete the tasks. There is no need to ask or worry about anything else. The two of them implemented this point very well, which is why Bibi Dong is always willing to assign tasks to them. Several days past, Yu Yuan and Gimli had been unable to come up with a perfect solution and were secretly anxious, but they could not show it in front of their colleagues in the Spirit Hall, which made them very distressed. One evening, in order to relax, Yu Yuan picked up a sprinkler and watered his favorite flowers planted in his rooftop garden. Flowers sprout soon. Yu Yuan hummed a little tune, and his anxious mood was soon relaxed. A feeling of relaxation filled his whole body. The setting sun shone on his body, as if it was coated with a layer of fiery red light and shadow. Time passed slowly. When Yu Yuan finished watering all the flowers in the garden, he naturally looked up at the sky. After a while, he was suddenly stunned while looking down, looking at the scene of Bibi Dong standing in front of the Pope's palace overlooking Wuhan City. An idea flashed in his mind, and he thought, "Yeah, who said Yu Gang must meet Bibi Dong? If this path doesn't work, then we can try another approach. Yu Gang is of low status and cannot meet Bibi Dong smoothly, but we can let Bibi Dong discover Yu Gang's arrival by herself." The location of the Pope's palace overlooks the entire Wuhan City. As long as Bibi Dong happens to stand in front of the Pope's palace and overlook the scenery of Wuhan City, when Yu Gang enters the city, she can see him smoothly. If it is true as your letter says, Bibi Dong's love for Yu Gang is that deep, so they have been separated for more than 20 years. When Bibi Dong sees Yu Gang, she will definitely take the initiative to find him, and the mission will be completed perfectly. Yu Yuan was very satisfied with his plan, and the worries that had accumulated in his heart for several days were swept away. Bibi Dong overlooks the scenery of Wuhan City from the gate of the Pope's palace almost every evening. If that's the case, we have to find a way to time Yu Gang's entry into the city to the evening. This kind of thing was not difficult for him at all. He had already figured out what to do. A few days later, dusk, because the carriage suddenly broke down, Yu Gang had no choice but to walk and finally arrived at the gate of Wuhan City that he had been longing for. A few minutes later, the entrance to Wuhan City, the yellow crystal ball in Yu Gang's hand was shining. Seeing this, the soldier guard in the city gate said mechanically, "You are a great soul master at level 29 in soul power. Your cultivation meets the minimum standard for entering the city. Then you can enter." Hearing this, Yu Zaigang immediately returned the yellow crystal ball in his hand to the soldier, hurriedly passed through the city gate, and walked into the street of Wuhan City, Yu Zaigang, and back again. The familiar yet unfamiliar streets reminded Yu Zaigang of the scene when he first came here. It was at the entrance of the city gate that he met his first love, Bibi Dong, by chance. Bibi Dong, the Pope, Yu Zaigang whispered to himself and subconsciously looked up at the Pope's palace halfway up the mountain unexpectedly. When he looked up, he found a vague figure standing in front of the door of the Pope's palace. Because Yu Zaigang's cultivation was too low and his eyesight was not much better than that of ordinary people, he was unable to see clearly who the figure in front of the door of the Pope's palace was. However, Yu Zaigang couldn't see clearly, but Bibi Dong, who had the cultivation level of a titled Douluo, could see it clearly in front of the Pope's palace. Bibi Dong stood here as usual, looking down at the tiny buildings and people below, and suddenly she looked towards the city gate with a feeling. With just one glance, Bibi Dong found the lover she had been caring about for more than 20 years in the vast crowd on the street. Zaigang. Yu Zaigang's sudden appearance made Bibi Dong confused and she didn't know what to do. After a moment, seeing Yu Zaigang on the street below looking up at her, Bibi Dong instantly lowered her head to avoid Yu Zaigang's gaze. She completely forgot that with Yu Zaigang's strength, it was impossible for him to see clearly what the person standing here looked like from such a distance. Not daring to look up and meet Yu Zaigang's gaze, Bibi Dong released her mental power to watch Yu Zaigang's movements instead of her eyes. After a while, Yu Zaigang withdrew his gaze from the Pope's palace, walked quickly among the crowd, and walked along the circular street towards the location of the Pope's palace. This direction? Zaigang is here to find me? Looking for me? Bibi Dong was the only one here, and she didn't need to maintain the majestic image of the Pope. Her face turned red instantly, but it wasn't very obvious under the setting sun. End of this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Jinring Su's Fury. Unlike in the original novel, Bibi Dong knew that Yu Zaigang came to her because of Tang San. Here, Yu Zaigang did not become master and disciple with Tang San, and the spirit hall is now at the center of public opinion. Therefore, when Yu Zaigang came to see her at this time, Bibi Dong instinctively thought in that direction. The outburst of emotions that had been suppressed for many years made Bibi Dong lose her composure in an instant, but under the influence of Rakshasa's divine thoughts, the love and beauty in her heart were weakened. After a few breaths, Bibi Dong regained her senses, and with great difficulty suppressed the urge to find Yu Zaigang immediately, and returned to the main hall of the Pope's palace to wait for Yu Zaigang's arrival. Because the Knight Commander guarding the Pope's palace received Bibi Dong's message, Yu Zaigang was able to pass through the only way to the Pope's palace unimpeded. Yu Zaigang hurriedly arrived at the door of the Pope's palace. He suddenly became a little uneasy, and his originally firm determination became hesitant at this moment. No, success or failure depends on this one move. We must not retreat. In the end, Yu Zaigang convinced himself. After taking a deep breath, he pushed open the door of the Pope's palace with force, paused for a moment, and walked in. The 3-meter-high archway closed automatically after Yu Zaigang entered. The heavy sound of the door closing made him suspicious. He looked around the hall quickly and finally saw the figure that had been haunting him in a corner. Danger. Zaigang. In the following days, a rumor spread among the high-ranking officials of Wuhan City, the secret between Pope Bibi Dong and Master Yu Zaigang that must be told. A month later, Xiandao Palace, the prince's bedroom. The exquisite and precious porcelain fell to the ground and shattered, making a pleasant and crisp sound that lasted for a long time. Soon, the floor of the bedroom was covered with tiny pieces of porcelain. Zhu King smashed the last piece of porcelain in the bedroom, gasping for breath. The anger in his heart could not be calmed for a long time after venting it wantonly. What do you mean? What does that woman mean? My father is already dead. Is she still going to cheat on him? Yu Zaigang, right. If I had known this, I should have cut him into pieces when he was in Xiandao City. With a loud bang, Zhu King slammed his hands on the desk with such force that the rosewood tabletop broke in the bedroom. 2 old men in gray were trembling as they looked at Zhu King, who was in a furious state. They were so frightened that they dared not breathe. for fear of disturbing Zhu King and causing him to transfer his anger to them. No. We can't keep wasting time like this. In front of the desk, Zhu King turned around suddenly, looked at the two gray-robed old men behind him, and said, "Immediately execute the plan and use colorful on Zhu Yi, young master." Snake Spear Douluo said bravely, "The timing is far from ripe. Isn't it too early to take action now, then? How long are you going to make me wait?" Zhu King roared directly, "Let's not deal with the matter now. If we delay any further, by the time I return to the spirit hall, those two bitches will probably have a child. By then, will the spirit hall be named Yu? Or Jin? Tell me, speak, you're dumb-faced." With this question, the two old men were silent. Are you kidding me? Is this a question they can answer? Finally, after Zhu King's anger subsided for a while, Thorny Porpoise Douluo mustered up the courage to say, "Young master, you must be rational and don't let your anger cloud your mind. Didn't you always say, before?" He could finish his words, Zhu King interrupted him and shouted, "Be reasonable. How can you expect me to be reasonable? Do you want me to waste time here and wait for them to give birth to the child so that he can inherit the position of Pope of my Jin family?" At this time, Snake Spear Douluo advised, "Young master, calm down. The high priest will not allow such a thing to happen. No matter how powerful a pope from another family is, he can never be as powerful as the temple of worship. So, please rest assured, young master. This mission has taken you so many years, so you must not fail because of a momentary anger, Grandpa." Zhu King's eyes, which were filled with anger, regained a hint of clarity when he heard that. "Grandpa, I still have a grandpa. Yes, with Grandpa here, the throne of Pope will return to our Jin family no matter what, Uncle." You are right. I have devoted my entire youth to this undercover mission. I cannot let it be ruined in an instant." Zhu King regained his sanity and soon turned back into the humble and gentle crown prince. Suddenly, a bright and holy soul power wave burst out from Zhu King. Suddenly, a breakthrough. The three people present, including Zhu King himself, were very surprised. With such a great ups and downs in emotions, his soul power, which was at the peak of level 57, actually broke through to level 58. "Congratulations, young master, on your breakthrough and becoming one step closer to becoming a soul emperor." In order to cheer up Zhu King, who was in a bad mood, Snake Spear Douluo and Thorny Porpoise Douluo also hurriedly complimented him. "Young master is extremely gifted. Even though he was delayed in his training due to the undercover mission, he can still reach a level close to that of a soul emperor at the age of just over 20. He is truly a peerless genius that I have never seen in my life." After hearing these words, although Zhu King didn't show it on his face, he felt very happy in his heart. She has always been confident in her talents. After all, she inherited the woman's talent for cultivation. Even if she has never admitted it, she knows that this is an unchangeable fact. "Okay, uncles, stop flattering me." Zhu King waved his hand and said, "Pick up the broken pieces of porcelain on the ground. I have to go buy some identical porcelain and restore this place to its original state. If people knew that I broke so many pieces of porcelain because I got angry, it would greatly affect my image in people's minds." After saying that, Zhu King hurriedly left the bedroom. The porcelain in the palace's inventory was recorded, so if he wanted to fill the gap of dozens of pieces of porcelain, he could only go to the largest porcelain chamber of commerce in Xiandao City to buy them. This round trip will take at least several hours. Tang, and it's dinner time now in the restaurant. Tang San drank his soup and casually said to Tai Long beside him, "In the past half month, the food has tasted much better. The chef has made great progress." "You are too kind, young master." Tai Long lowered his head habitually and answered obediently, "It's just that the new chef likes to make medicinal food. These dishes all have medicinal ingredients added to them. I think the previous meals are more to my taste, because..." He was looking down. Tang San couldn't see Tai Long saying these words. His expression was very stiff, and there was an ambiguous look in Tai Long's eyes. Of course, Tang San did not think much about it, because Tai Long always acted humble in front of him. The taste of medicinal food can only be appreciated by people with taste. You are used to eating big fish and meat, so of course you are not used to these delicate dishes. Young master is right, Tai Long replied weakly. End of this chapter. Chapter 144 Poison. When Tang San finished lunch and was about to leave the restaurant, Tai Long raised his head, which was rare, and asked in a gentle tone, "Young master, My grandfather has been gone for so long and there is no news. Do you know what your aunt asked my grandfather to do? I don't know. Tang San told the truth, but his attitude was very light. After he finished speaking, he stood up and left the restaurant so he didn't see that behind him. Tyrone lowered his head again, his fists hidden behind his back clenched tightly in his palms, his nails piercing his skin and digging into his flesh. I don't know. What an indifferent I don't know. What a cold and heartless I don't know, Tyrone roared secretly in his heart. His eyes widened with his head lowered, and the whites of his eyes were covered with hideous bloodshot. Grandpa, you have proven that your choice was wrong. Next, I will not continue to follow the path you arranged. There are some things I have to do. Then, Tyrone looked up at the still warm dishes on the table. A meaningful and cruel smile appeared on his face. Lin's manner. It was midsummer and the sun was scorching. The scorching sun scorched the earth, and the plants and flowers planted in the manor all wilted a little under the high temperature in the living room of the main house. The scorching sun shines in through the huge transparent floor-to-ceiling windows, but surprisingly fails to raise the temperature in the living room, but always maintains a comfortable temperature in the middle of the living room. Lin Rong sat on an elm chair, holding a small medicine spoon in his hand. He scooped out a small spoonful from each of the 7 portions of white medicine powder on the table and mixed them together. Then he stretched out his finger, dipped a little and put it in his mouth to taste it. It has no taste at all, colorless and tasteless, which is true to its name. After tasting it, Lin Rong commented, as for the toxicity, why don't I feel poison at all? Is it because I ate too little? How about trying a little more? After saying this, Lin Rong was about to do so when the old butler sitting next to him reached out to stop him and said, "Young master, you forgot. The toxic effect of the colorful sprite is to erode your vitality. With your current vitality, it's normal that such a small amount of colorful sprite has no effect on you. What's more, the divinity in your body should be able to dissolve these external toxins on its own. The colorful magic will most likely have no effect on you." After hearing this, Lin Rong lay on the table and said dissatisfiedly, "It's boring. I'm just curious about why the colorful poison is listed as a forbidden poison by the Pui clan. I want to taste it myself to know how toxic it is. As a result, the condition of my current body can't even satisfy this little curiosity." There's a good saying that no matter what situation a person is in, they will have different worries, just like me now. In response, the old butler just sat beside Lin Rong, listening with a gentle smile. After his young master finished speaking, he asked, "Young master, everything went smoothly on Xinian's mission? Just now, Xinian sent back information that Tai Long of the Power Clan has made up his mind and asked whether the clan should enter the next stage." Lin Rong climbed up from the table, then lay down on the chair and said, "Grandpa, you tell Xinian that we have to wait a while before the clan can move to the next stage." Tang San is very defensive. He used to eat a lot of meat and fish, but suddenly the dishes were changed to exquisite medicinal food. He must have been very cautious when eating, always alert to whether there was poison in the medicinal food. After all, Tang San is also an expert in using poisons, and he is also familiar with the principles of mixing poisons. His understanding of the relationship between the growth and decline of medicinal materials is not much worse than Yang Wudi. So, we have to let Tang San get used to eating the medicinal food, make him believe that the medicinal food is not poisonous, and that there are no conflicting types between the medicinal materials, so that we can start poisoning. The colorful powder is made from 7 kinds of medicinal herbs. We add a new powder every few months. This way, the chance of Tang San noticing it is minimal. After 6 of the 7 kinds of powder have been administered, the last kind of powder can only be administered to him after Tang San has fully utilized its value. As for Tai Long, if his desire for revenge is too strong and he can't calm down, let Xinian handle it on his own. As for nightmares, he knows how to use them well. Sitting on the wooden chair, the old butler massaged the young master's shoulders and replied after listening, "Yes, the old slave understands." After saying that, the old butler continued to ask, "Young master, what would you like to eat tomorrow? I will prepare the ingredients in advance. All is fine." Hearing this, Lin Rong stretched out his hand and pulled the old housekeeper's beard, saying, "Tomorrow is your 70th birthday, Grandpa. You should cook some dishes that you like to eat instead of just cooking what I like to eat." After hearing this, the old butler just answered as usual, "Young master, I have served you all my life, so my eating preferences are basically the same as yours, and your food preferences are mostly the same as yours, so the dishes you like are also the dishes I like. If you force me to name my favorite dish, I really can't say. Lin Rong listened to the familiar and gentle voice in her ear, and suddenly felt a little sad. She asked in a low voice, Grandpa you have dedicated your entire life to our Lin family. The meaning of life is to live, but when Grandpa was alive, you lived for him. Now, you live for me. You have always lived for others. Grandpa do you think it's worth it? As he said this, Lin Rong felt conflicted for him. The more loyal the old butler is, the better. Now the best situation is that he lives for him because of this. His weight in the old butler's heart surpasses everything else, and nothing can shake his position in the old butler's heart. But in this way, the old butler completely lost himself and would not consider anything for himself after all these years of getting along. The old butler was no longer just a servant in his heart, but a relative who depended on him for survival. The old butler was stunned when he heard this, and then replied calmly, Young master, there is no such thing as worth or not worth it. People live in this world not just to live. There are many things they want to do. When you have something you want to do in your heart, you have a goal, your life has a direction, and you know how to keep going. Compared to those people in the world who live without purpose, at least I have a firm goal in my heart, don't I, young master? From the moment I entered the Lin family, my entire life has been bound to the Lin family. Now, young master, you are the only child of the Lin family. Protecting you is the only thing I want to do in my life. In fact, accompanying you, young master, as you grow up little by little, this old servant has gained a lot of satisfaction and joy in the process. All of this is worth it. End of this chapter. Chapter 145 Heart Tribulation. Some thoughts from his previous life made Lin Rong not completely agree with the old housekeeper's answer. He felt half relieved and half disappointed, with something else mixed, and there were no outsiders in the living room, so all these emotions were written on his face, without any concealment. Seeing the young master's expression, the old butler surprisingly did not say anything, because he did not want to continue talking about this topic, and his status did not allow him to say anything comforting on this topic right now. The best option is to remain silent and let the young master figure it out himself. That night, at midnight in the bedroom, Lin Rong was lying on the bed, staring at the beams on the roof in a trance, thinking about something in his mind. Strange, what's going on with my recent mood swings? I'm not a person who likes to dwell on trivial matters. Why do I keep dwelling on this matter and can't figure it out? My current state of mind is much better than during the day, which made me realize this. The fluctuations in my state of mind are, as expected, probably related to the realm of the Zisa Sutra. Lin Rong had a premonition that when his soul power broke through level 70, he would absorb the crystal blood dragon and the acacia heart broken red to condense his natal soul ring. The realm of the Zisa Jing will naturally break through to the level of saving all living beings in seclusion and invisibility. Thinking of some of the sayings and comments from his previous life, Lin Rong guessed in his heart, those who practice cultivation need to overcome tribulations before they can achieve the right result. From this perspective, the violent fluctuations in my state of mind are the calamities that will occur when practicing the Marrow Cleansing Sutra. Disaster, overcoming the disaster. The violent fluctuations in my mood will cause me to have extreme thoughts and do something irreparable. I just don't know how long this catastrophe will last. 1 or 2 days, half a month, 2 or 3 months, or will it continue forever until I break through the realm of the Washing Marrow Sutra to the level of hidden and visible to save sentient beings? Lin Rong turned over and lay on his side on the bed. He looked at the 9-curved vine dragon that had fallen asleep beside him and reached out to pull its whiskers. The slight pain woke the 9-bend vine dragon from its sleep. It looked at its owner pulling its whiskers in the middle of the night with a puzzled look on its face. Xiao Qing, can you sense that I am conscious enough now? The 9-bend vine dragon stared at his master blankly. After a while, he remembered to use his ability of telepathy to understand what his master meant. He nodded, then shook his head afterwards. When the 9-bend vine dragon saw that its master had not made any move, it took the initiative to tell its master what it was thinking through telepathy. Lin Rong was lying on the bed again, holding the mini version of the 9-curved vine dragon in his arms, and said, as long as you can stay conscious, some minor effects are not important. Xiao Qing, you can sense my consciousness, so can you also sense the changes in my thinking and habits? This Question made Duke Lin carefully sense his master's inner thoughts for a long time. He first shook his head, and then nodded gently. After Lin Rong sensed Duke Ling's thoughts, he said, I can't feel any specific changes, but I can feel some subtle fluctuations. That's it, Xiaoqing. Lin Rong paused and continued, since you can sense the fluctuations in my mood, there are some things I want you to remember. I didn't expect that practicing the Marrow Cleansing Sutra and breaking through a realm would require me to go through a tribulation. This catastrophe will cause my state of mind to fluctuate violently. In order to prevent my behavior from being controlled by some extreme thoughts when my mood is low. Once you sense that something is wrong with me, use the evil breaking dragon roar on me to calm me down. The coverage area of the evil breaking dragon roar doesn't need to be too large, just use it on me. If I still can't calm down, you have to take me to the banyan tree forest by force until I calm down. During this time, you don't have to follow any of my instructions at that time. Also, in order to prevent you from being forcibly controlled by me at that time, I will use the power of my mind to temporarily seal my absolute control over you. If I want to remove this seal, my own state of mind must be higher than when I set this seal. I will not leave this manor until I have survived this disaster. You can take me to the banyan tree forest whenever you like. Xiaoqing, do you remember it? The 9 curved vine dragon's mental state was equivalent to that of a 5-year-old child at this time. After listening to these complicated words, it scratched its head with its little paws, thought seriously for a while, and then nodded vigorously through telepathy. Lin Rong knew that Duke Lin really understood what he said, and he felt relieved. The 9-bend vine dragon, as his martial soul, is absolutely loyal to him even if he sealed his absolute control over it. The 9 curved vine dragon, which had been given intelligence, would still obey his orders. My current soul power is level 67.5. If I want to cultivate to level 70, it will take at least 5 months. Fortunately, Xiaoqing is here. She has her own intelligence and is in tune with me, so I can get through this disaster without any worries. Otherwise, for a full 5 months, if this calamity continues until I break through the realm of the Marrow Cleansing Sutra, then I will have to stay in seclusion until I break through the realm of the Marrow Cleansing Sutra. After thinking about this, Lin Rong hesitated whether to tell the old housekeeper about this matter. He was afraid that the old butler would know about this and worry about it all day long, but hiding this from the old butler also made him feel guilty and felt that he did not trust the old butler enough. Suddenly, Lin Rong felt something poking him. He looked down and saw that it was the dragon horn on the top of the 9 curved vine dragon's head. A slight dragon roar was heard. My mood has dropped again. Lin Rong was speechless. No, it's only been a short time. I didn't tell Grandpa Yu about this because I didn't want him to worry about it. How does this have anything to do with trust? I'm afraid my current state of mind is not suitable for sealing my absolute control over you. Xiaoqing, neither you nor I should sleep tonight. You should keep abreast of my state of mind. Once it returns to above the passing line, you should tell me immediately. When I'm in a normal state, I can place the seal with confidence, but I can't do that now. After saying that, Lin Rong sat up from the bed and leaned against the soft pillow, turned on the soul guide lamp on the bedside table, and took out a book to pass the time as he read. Lin Rong's mind was no longer on the book. It's better to tell Grandpa Yu about the heart tribulation. After all, I have to let Grandpa Yu know that sometimes he doesn't have to do what I say, especially for some fundamental plans involving the future, and some extremely crazy ideas. If I don't tell Grandpa Yu in advance, given his personality, he will definitely do it without asking why. End of this chapter. Chapter 146, Meeting of the Gods. In the vast universe, a huge colorful spherical object is suspended in the outer space of Douluo star. Outside the colorful spherical object, there are a total of 108 space channels connecting 108 worlds, and one of the space channels connects to the Douluo star below and within its inner space. The clouds and mists are ever-changing, sometimes rolling like the tides, and sometimes quiet and deep as if still. Every change in the clouds and mist is irregular, and you can never guess what shape the clouds and mist will take in the next moment, giving people endless surprises and shocks. Rich elemental forces of heaven and earth lingered in the clouds, and the forces of various elements blended together to present a colorful halo, making this space seem like a dream world. At the top of the world, a towering palace stands here, shining with a faint golden glow under the illumination of the colorful halo. This is the divine realm. The world where the gods live, the towering palace at the top of the divine realm, is the commanding height of the entire divine realm, and the place that controls everything in the divine realm. This is because the foundation of the divine world, the divine world center, is located in a special space inside the palace. In the main hall of the palace, on the 8 walls, hundreds of light screens appeared, and countless scenes changed and flashed. Each light curtain represents a world controlled by the divine realm. The gods in the divine realm can monitor these worlds controlled by watching the light curtains. In the center of the main hall, there is a round table. I don't know what material it is made of, but it makes the tabletop look as endless and deep as misty clouds. At this moment, there were 5 people sitting around the round table, and behind each of them, there were several figures standing. The eyes of the gods were all on the curtain of light in the center of the round table. In the light curtain, a planet is suspended in space. Looking closely, on the surface of the planet, endless light golden air currents slowly condensed into an illusory creature that looked like a snake but not a snake, and like a dragon but not a dragon. The illusory creature wrapped Douluo star under its body, isolating Douluo star from the god realm's exploration. Among the 5 gods, the law enforcement god Shura, who was sitting in the main seat, was the first to speak and break the silence. 11 years ago, 2 external forces of destiny descended on Douluo world within half a year, triggering a shock in the center of the god realm. When the second external force of destiny arrived, this illusory creature resembling a python, composed of the power of destiny, appeared outside Douluo star. Over the years, as this illusory creature that took shape from the energy has become more solid, the force that has hindered the god realm's central exploration of Douluo star has also become stronger. Half a month ago, the power of the creatures of destiny suddenly increased dramatically, and it completely blocked the god realm center from exploring Douluo star. And just today, the God Realm Center came up with a prophecy. Within the past half-month, the one who merges the external force of destiny with Douluo star and completely unifies the Douluo world will be the future ruler of the God Realm. The prophecy did not specify who would unify the Douluo world. According to our 5 interpretations, we believe that fate is illusory. Until the last moment, anyone could be the ruler of the God Realm who would unify the Douluo world. In the prophecy, I have gathered you together to announce a decision, and the gods will vote to decide whether to execute it. His voice was majestic and cold. He was just stating something, but his tone was like a bone-chilling murderous intent that made people shudder. The goddess of life, who was sitting at the lower left side of the round table and wearing a water-green dress, took over the topic and continued with what the Shura god had just said. After discussion, the 5 of us unanimously decided that the god realm should intervene in the fight on Douluo star. We will ask the gods in the god realm to send their respective artifacts and inheritances to Douluo star, and let the power of destiny select the designated inheritor of the throne. After our intervention, the already unpredictable trajectory of fate will become even more unpredictable. There are a total of 32 main gods in the god realm. Excluding the 4 main gods who have fallen, namely the angel god, the Rakshasa god, the thunder god, and the god of love, we still have 28 main gods. The 28 great god positions can create 28 great god position inheritors. We have the advantage in numbers. Even if fate is uncertain, the probability that the future ruler of the unified continent will appear among our heirs is conservatively estimated to be more than 50%, or even more. Her tone was very peaceful and calm, making people feel like they were bathed in spring breeze, which formed a sharp contrast with the cold and piercing tone of the Shura god. Opposite the main seat of the round table, the god of destruction, wearing a purple cloak, sat there. He followed his wife's topic and said to the gods present, the divine world has its own rules. As long as 3 of the 5 of us support ordinary decisions, they can be implemented, but this decision involves the future of the divine world, so it requires a joint decision by all the gods in the divine world. This decision can only be passed and implemented if more than half of the 28 main gods, including the 5 of us, support it. Otherwise, this decision will be invalidated, and a strange ruler will be born on Douluo star to rule the god realm. Life, good, evil, and Shura all support this decision. We got 5 votes out of the 28. Now, it is your turn, the 23 main gods, to vote. Finally, I want to emphasize that this matter is of great importance. You'd better think it through before voting. He spoke in a fair and just manner, but the aura he displayed was extremely overbearing, as if he would not tolerate any objection from anyone. This is completely opposite to the personality of his wife, the goddess of life on the right side of the round table. The good and evil sitting there did not speak, because everything that needed to be said had been said by Shiro, life and destruction, and they had nothing more to say about this matter. Among the 23 gods present, the 7 elemental gods of the Shura god camp exchanged glances tacitly, and the god of space, the leader of the 7 elements, spoke on their behalf. No matter how you look at it, this matter has advantages and no disadvantages. Since we have the ability to allow the future ruler of the divine world to appear among our heirs, of course we must do so. I, Aaron Cross, the god of space, represent the 7 elemental gods of space, light, darkness, earth, water, fire, and wind to support this decision. Fate ultimately belongs to us, the inheritors of the divine world. May the glory of the divine world last forever. Aaron Cross's voice is ethereal and disembodied, which fits his identity as the god of space. Poseidon, the god of the sea, who is in the same Shura camp as the 7 elemental gods, also made his choice after Aaron Cross. I am a god who ascended from the Douluo plane to the divine realm. The sea of Douluo star is the territory conquered by me, Poseidon. The unification of Douluo star must include the ocean. I can't just sit back and watch this happen. Needless to say, I must support this decision, as the only god born in Douluo star among the 28 gods present. Poseidon, the god of the sea, has a top force in the lower world called Poseidon Island. Other gods can only send down their artifacts and inheritance to Douluo star, and everything else can only be left to fate. But he has the power of Poseidon Island, which allows him to take the initiative to find a talented successor to help him unify the continent. Therefore, Poseidon is very sure that the future ruler of the gods will be his successor as the god of the sea. On the right side of the round table, the god of evil seemed to sense Poseidon's inner thoughts. Under the black hood, the corners of his mouth curled up into an evil smile, and he made a suggestion as if unintentionally. Everyone, although the angel god, Rakshasa god, thunder god, and love god have all fallen, their godly thrones are all on Douluo star without exception. We can actively stimulate the remaining divine power in their godly positions and let the 4 godly positions be noticed by the people of Douluo star. In this way, we have changed from the inheritors of the 28 great gods back to the inheritors of the 32 great gods. With 4 more inheritors of the gods, the probability of the future ruler of the divine world appearing on our side will also increase significantly. What do you think of my proposal? He seemed to look around the main hall, but his eyes were always fixed on Poseidon, with a faint smile full of mockery on the corners of his mouth. End of this chapter. Chapter 147. Oracle. Among the many gods present, the god of destruction was the first to respond. That's a very good suggestion. The 4 gods have fallen for so long. If we give them a helping hand and allow them to take this opportunity to return to the god realm, it will also be a good thing to strengthen the god realm. Lilith, what do you think? He looked at the goddess of life sitting next to him and asked with a gentle tone. I agree with you, Seth. The goddess of life Lilith met or followed her husband's lead and looked at her husband Seth Derhal affectionately. Being kind-hearted, she agreed from the bottom of her heart. The peculiarity of Douluo star has caused the god realm to stipulate that the gods cannot intervene, which has caused the 4 great god positions to be lost on Douluo star for so long. Now, I can use this opportunity to help them find the successor to the throne. I believe they will be happy if they know about this. Behind the goddess of life, the 9-colored goddess, who is wearing a colorful dress, also walked forward holding the hand of her husband, the god of food, and echoed, "My husband and I support my sister, and we also support the god realm's intervention in Douluo star's decision-making." On the right side of the round table, the god of kindness in a white robe looked at the god of Shiro, with a pure and holy smile on his beautiful face. Shura, although there is a conflict between you and Luosha, the matter is of great importance. You should not let personal interests override public interests in this matter. I, the good god Elena Osikus, second the evil proposal. Now, we have 4 votes out of 5. Shura, it's your turn to express your opinion, even though your veto will be useless. The pleasant laughter echoed in the main hall of the palace. Her voice was so sincere and pure, but such a pure voice seemed unusually not so pleasant in the ears of the Shura god. All the gods present knew that there was a feud between god Shura and god Rakshasa. Even the fall of god Rakshasa was closely related to him. This was also a semi-open secret in the world of gods, but this kind of small proposal does not require the gods in the divine world to express their opinions. It can be passed as long as more than 3 out of the 5 of them agree at present. Among the 5 major gods, goodness, evil, life and destruction all agree. Even if he, God Shiro, denies it, it will be useless and will only make him appear narrow-minded. People need face and trees need bark. Even gods need face. Therefore, sure, a god had no choice but to pretend to be magnanimous and said indifferently, as the law enforcement god of the divine world, I have always been absolutely fair and just. The evil proposal is good and beneficial to the divine world. I will naturally not reject this proposal because of personal grudges. I, Azure God Taurus Nu, second the motion and declare this proposal passed unanimously. The gods looked at each other and continued to remain silent. The silence in the main hall made God Shura seem a little awkward. In order to make himself appear less embarrassed, Shura God brought the topic back to the original decision, regarding the matter of the god realm intervening on Douluo star. 15 of the 28 main gods in the god realm have already voted in favor, and the votes have exceeded the 14 votes that are half of the total. In this case, this decision is passed. Everyone present should go back and prepare. One day later, we will gather the gods of the gods to send their respective artifacts and inheritances to Douluo star. Okay, let's break up the meeting. He finished speaking in a hurry, and was the first god to stand up from the round table and the first god to walk out of the main hall of the palace after the Shura god left. The god of destruction snorted disdainfully and cursed, hypocritical guy, Lilith, let's go too. He held the hand of his wife, the goddess of life, and looked at the gods of good and evil, and said, Elena, Header, your throne is just like ours. It needs a pair of lovers to inherit it together to maintain the balance of the throne. It's hard to find a talented successor, and even harder to find a pair of talented lovers. I warn you, it's best not to play any tricks behind your back. If you dare to secretly snatch the destined successor of Lilith and I, don't blame me for disregarding our past friendship. Seth, the goddess of life, emphasized her tone, smiled apologetically at the god of good and the god of evil, and walked out, pulling her husband, the god of destruction, looking at the couple's departing backs. The evil god's face was filled with an evil smile, regardless of past affection. Tisk tisk, Elena, are you afraid? Of course, I am scared. The god of kindness smiled innocently. Huddle, what about you? Yeah, I'm terribly scared too. The god of evil and the god of good looked at each other and saw through each other's thoughts at a glance. The gods who were still present were no longer surprised by this. It is well known in the divine world that the god of evil is not truly evil, and the god of good is not truly good. Douluo star in the endless sea. Raging waves and endless tides are beating against a huge island. In the center of the island, there is a circular inland sea, and the sparkling water reflects infinite brilliance against a backdrop of the sunset in the circular sea. There is an island within an island. At the top of the island, there is a square dome building that looks like it is carved from white jade, emitting a sacred glow inside the building. A woman in a bright red robe knelt respectfully and devoutly at the end of the hall. In front of the woman was a trident stuck in the ground. At this moment, the trident was covered with a flowing blue light curtain, and the red-robed woman kneeling on the ground pretended to close her eyes and listen. After a long time, the light curtain flowing on the trident dissipated. Yes, I will obey the order of Lord Poseidon. Poseidon stood up from the ground, turned around and walked out of the temple of Poseidon. Outside the palace gate, the 7 sacred pillars of Poseidon were kneeling in a neat row. When they saw the high priest of Poseidon coming out, they all looked up, waiting for the decree of the Lord Poseidon with fanatical expressions under their fanatical gazes. Poseidon slowly walked forward, holding high the sacrificial scepter in his hand. Pass. On the order from Lord Poseidon, from now on, Poseidon Island will establish the Poseidon Empire, and all citizens of Poseidon Island will be citizens of the Poseidon Empire. The imperial throne is vacant. This priest will temporarily take over the imperial power until the successor of Lord Poseidon is found. The 7 sea gods and 7 sacred pillars guarding Douluo are all named generals of the empire. Hail Long, the leader of the 7 sacred pillars, you are the grand marshal of the empire. Recruit the soul masters from the surrounding seas and islands, form an army with the people of the empire, and march onto the mainland under the supreme glory of Lord Poseidon. From now on, the reputation of Lord Poseidon will not only resound in the sea, but in the name of the Poseidon Empire. Let Lord Poseidon's name resound throughout the entire continent. Among the 7 people kneeling on the ground, the leader, a sturdy middle-aged man, knocked his head on the ground of the sea god temple and answered tremblingly, I will obey the order of Lord Poseidon. Heilong will obey the order. In the center of the continent, on top of Wuhan City, a temple within a temple, an old man in a white robe kneels in front of a huge angel statue. Golden light flowed on the 6-winged angel statue, but the golden light flickered and seemed like it could disappear at any time. Angel. God, what exactly do you want to convey? The angel statue appeared, but as the angel high priest, he could not sense the call of the angel god, which made Jin Daoli very anxious. Under his anxious gaze. The golden light flowing on the surface of the six-winged angel statue gradually dimmed and soon disappeared completely. How could this happen? How could this happen? Jin Daoliu collapsed to the ground, unable to believe what he was seeing. Could it be that my angel lineage will be wiped out? Is it Bibidong? Or Tang Chen? End of this chapter. Chapter 148 Meteor Shower. A small town deep in the mountains in the north of the Douluo Empire. Deep beneath the town, there is a huge underground city called the City of Slaughter. Inner city, dark and spacious room. The obsidian floor was covered with dark red blood, and a strong smell of blood floated in the heavy air of the room. In the corner of the wall, a beautiful and miserable woman was lying there motionless. Her charming face was pale as a mirror, and she was no longer breathing. Ah! A low, hoarse scream of pain echoed in the dark room. On the floor, a tall man wrapped in a scarlet cloak was rolling on the ground with his head in his hands between the man's eyebrows. A dark red sword-shaped pattern shone with scarlet light. A blood red airflow formed a giant bat with 9 heads above the man in an unknown space somewhere in the City of Slaughter. Another force of the same level as the dark red sword-shaped magic pattern emerged into this room. This power continuously flowed into the body of the bloody 9-headed Bat King, forming an additional purple-black mark of 2 crossed sickles between the man's eyebrows. 2 conflicting divine powers fought each other in the body of the king of killing Tang Chen, corroding Tang Chen's body. The one who suffered the extreme pain was the bloody 9-headed Bat King that parasitai Tang Chen. As both are divine powers, the Shura power naturally restrains the Rakshasa power. This gave Shura's divine power the upper hands in the battle for a time, but the good times did not last long. Under the supervision of the gods in the divine world, the Ashura god had no choice but to transfer his divine power to the lower world fairly and impartially, and the power was very limited. Although the Rakshasa god has fallen, his divine consciousness and Rakshasa god position are still left in the City of Slaughter. The power of Rakshasa has a source of replenishment, but the power of Shura is like a rootless duckweed. Soon, the power of Rakshasa lasted until the moment when the power of Shura was exhausted, successfully destroying Shura's plan to wake up Tang Chen. After completing this, the Rakshasi sickle mark on the forehead of the King of Slaughter also disappeared. The bloody 9-headed Bat King controlled Tang Chen's battered body and gasped for breath, with deep fear flashing in his completely blood-red eyes. The clash between the 2 forces just now truly made it feel the threat of death. After resting for a while, the King of Slaughter struggled to get up from the floor and looked at the blood-red chair in the middle of the room. On it was a sword more than 2 meters long. The sword was blood-red all over, covered with dark golden magic patterns. A fierce murderous aura emanated from the sword. It was the divine weapon Shura sword. It's horrible. It's really horrible. The King of Slaughter looked at the sword he once loved so much with fear, and swore that he would never touch a sword again in his life. At the same time, Wuhan City inside the Pope's palace, in a secret room, Bibi Dong's face turned pale and she collapsed on the bed, powerless. A few minutes ago, Rakshasa's divine power broke through and exploded, draining away all of her soul power and more than 90% of her mental power in an instant. The cold and empty voice echoed in her ears. Something went wrong during the assessment. Due to the interference of the god-level power, we had no choice but to use the power of the Rakshasa inheritor to counter it. As compensation, the difficulty of the 6th test of the 9 tests of Rakshasa will be halved, and the reward will be doubled. The progress of the 6th test for the Rakshasa successor has increased from 15% to 30%. The basic reward for the 6th test is increased from 10% Rakshasa affinity to 20% Rakshasa affinity. Divine power interference. Bibi Dong leaned on the bed, instinctively thinking that it was the angel's doing. She turned her head to look in the direction of the worship hall, and a trace of deep disgust flashed in her eyes. Jin Daoliu, I didn't expect you to lose your patience so soon. Because I'm Xiaoxian's mother, you can't bear to kill me, so you only dare to do these little tricks behind my back. You are so indecisive and lack the courage to fight to the death. No wonder you are the weakest among the 3 peerless Douluo. It was a blessing in disguise. Just by having her strength drained away once, the difficulty of the 6th test of the divine exam was halved, and the reward was doubled. This made Bibi Dong feel a lot better, but after what happened just now, Bibi Dong was no longer in the mood to continue practicing. I haven't seen Xiaogang for a long time. I don't know if he misses me. Thinking of her beloved, Bibi Dong's face, which had regained some color, flushed, and her deep eyes were full of tenderness. Late at night, darkness enveloped the earth and stars shone in the night sky. The starry sky tonight is exceptionally bright. Even the brilliance of the bright moon in the night sky is outshined by the light of the stars in the sky. It was midnight in the early morning. In the dark sky, bright meteors streak across the night sky one after another, leaving brilliant trails in the air. These meteors were so beautiful and dazzling that once they appeared, they attracted the attention of everyone in the continent who had not yet fallen asleep. 26 meteors scattered in all directions, gradually moving away in the gazes of countless people, and soon disappeared at the end of the Skylands Manor. In the center of banyan tree forest, the dense vines are intertwined and weave into a cage. Inside the cage, Lin Rong sat cross-legged on the grass. In his hand he held a white peony with a few blood-red petals. At this moment, the white peony flowers were emitting a faint, pure white aura of divine power. Lin Rong, who was in the middle of it, felt that he was wrapped in a sea of love. When the 26 streaks of light that streaked across the night sky passed through this patch of the night sky, Lin Rong looked up as if he sensed something. The night sky above is blocked by the lush banyan tree, but through the tiny gaps between the branches and leaves, you can still vaguely see the bright light of the shooting stars. The gods have taken action. Is this also part of the calamity? Lin Rong himself refined the divinity of the god of thunder and was very sensitive to the divine power contained in the 26 meteors in the night sky. I have been planning for the continent for so long, but it was all wasted overnight. To borrow Tang San's words, these gods really have a way to seek death. His tone was very calm, and his expression was unperturbed, as if he didn't take it to heart. Xiaoking, let me out, outside the cage. The 9-bend vine dragon carefully sensed its master's current state of mind, then pretended not to have heard it and continued to lie on the grass and take a nap. This damn seal, in his current state of mind, Lin Rong doesn't understand why he sealed his absolute control over the 9-curved vine dragon. At this moment, footsteps were heard in the darkness not far away. Young master, I made you some midnight snack. The sound came from far away, and the old butler came out from the woods with a tray of snacks and pushed it into the cage through the gap. At this moment, Lin Rong was just having extreme thoughts due to his depressed mood, but he was mentally normal. Therefore, when faced with the snacks brought by the old butler, he did not refuse but directly picked up a piece of snack to taste. After silently swallowing a few snacks, Lin Rong picked up a cup of tea, drank it, looked at the old housekeeper and said, "Grandpa, did you see the shooting star in the sky just now?" "I saw it." The old butler sat on the grass outside the cage and looked at Lin Rong in the cage with a gentle expression. Never before in the history of the continent has there been such a dazzling meteor, capable of lighting up the night sky of the entire continent. Early tomorrow morning, this matter will probably spread all over the continent in an instant. End of this chapter. Chapter 149. Dark Devil Tiger. In the cage, Lin Rong drank the tea in the cup. His fluctuating mood calmed down a lot and his extreme thoughts became much calmer. The divine world's intervention in Douluo Star is an established fact that cannot be changed. Although he was furious that the continental situation he had planned for many years was destroyed, he could only accept the current situation calmly and try his best to control the inheritance of the throne of God in his own hands. Even if no one under him can inherit these thrones, it is better than having the thrones inherited by others and then opposing him in the future. After drinking the tea, Lin Rong put the teacup back on the porcelain plate and looked down at the white peony with a few blood-red petals in his hand. The pure white power of the god of love makes this white peony look like an extraordinary flower. With the acacia heart broken red in hand, the love god's artifact and the inheritance of the god's throne are already in my pocket. The rest of the gods. The brain thinks quickly, guessing where these gods might appear among the many inheritances of divine thrones. The easiest place to guess where the major elemental thrones appear is nothing more than a place corresponding to the elements somewhere on the continent. For example, the inheritance of the god of fire will most likely appear in the largest group of active volcanoes on the entire continent. The inheritance of the god of thunder will most likely appear in Thunder Canyon, the largest gathering place of thunder elements in the entire continent. There is no trace of the inheritance of the throne of non-elemental gods, and theoretically it may appear anywhere on Douluo Star, but it's not like we're completely clueless. In this world, Oscar is the only one in the food category with full innate soul power. The trajectory of fate will definitely make him meet the inheritance of the god of food. The rest of the divine inheritance, if there is no external interference, will also be obtained by a talented soul master with a compatible martial soul attribute under the arrangement of fate. If the theory is true, then the inheritance of the two godly thrones, the wind god and the fire god, will meet Feng Xiaotian and Ma Hongjun on their own. Feng Xiaotian and Ma Hongjun, a genius with a wind-attributed martial soul and full soul power, and a genius with a mutated martial soul, the fire phoenix, who has taken the immortal herb coxcomb phoenix sunflower under normal circumstances. Both of them are eligible for the 9th test of the divine level, let alone in this extraordinary period. But sitting back and waiting is not an option. It is certainly possible that the wind god inheritance and the fire god inheritance will take the initiative to find Feng Xiaotian and Ma Hongjun, but we cannot pin all our hopes on this possibility. We still have to let them take the initiative and go to the Hurricane Canyon and the lava volcano group to explore. If they are lucky, they might encounter the inheritance of the godly throne as soon as they arrive. In addition, there may be the thunder god inheritance in Thunder Canyon. Lin Rong raised his palm, blue-green lightning flashed in his palm, and the light of divinity flickered in the flesh under his palm. Although I have refined the blood of the thunder god, the part of the blood related to the thunder god has been completely purified by the Marrow Cleansing Sutra, and has become the blood of God that belongs entirely to me, and I don't have any talented lightning attribute spirit masters under my command at the moment, so it's simply a daydream to expect the thunder god's inheritance to come to me on its own initiative. But we can't give up on something like the inheritance of the throne of God. We still have to send people to Thunder Canyon to conduct a carpet search. As for the candidate, Duuluo is very suitable. After making the decision in his mind, Lin Rong looked up at the old butler sitting on the grass outside the cage and explained everything in detail. Grandpa, you, please tell, that's all for now. I'll think about the rest later. Although the old butler could not communicate with Lin Rong's mind like Zhu Tenglong, he could still observe Lin Rong's state of mind through the subtle changes in his young master's tone and expression. The young master now looks like he has recovered a lot. Yes, I've made note of it. I'll do it right away. The old butler reached out and took the white peony that Lin Rong handed over through the gap in the cage. He stood up, straightened his clothes, turned around and walked into the dark banyan forest. After watching the old butler leave, Lin Rong set his eyes on the vine cage that trapped him. Now that the god realm has intervened in Douluo Star, he cannot go out because of the disaster of the Marrow Cleansing Sutra. It is really like adding insult to injury. Forget it. There's no point thinking about it now. You should practice quickly and strive to reach level 70. When you break through to the level of hidden and revealed to save all living beings through the Washing Marrow Sutra, you will naturally be able to overcome this disaster. Lin Rong withdrew his gaze, sat cross-legged on the grass, closed his eyes and concentrated, silently reciting the mantra of the Zisa Sutra in his mind, and began to practice Star Forest. 2 meteors streaked across the night sky above the forest and fell at the bottom of a valley deep in the forest. The bottom of the valley was dark. Even the bright stars in the sky tonight could not illuminate the scene. At the bottom of the valley, in the center of the valley, where the 2 meteors fell, there lies a gigantic tiger. The tiger's entire body was pure black, without a trace of other colors, and its scarlet eyes were filled with a sinister and evil aura. Its tiger body is over 8 meters long, with a pair of corrupted pure black evil god wings growing between its ribs. Its tail is not a normal tiger tail, but an extremely long scorpion tail that stands upright and is composed of countless bone joints. As the scorpion's tail swayed in the air, the huge hook shone with a cold light, as if it would suddenly attack at any time. At this moment, the dark demon evil god tiger stared at the 2 objects floating in front of him with its scarlet eyes, a round object emitting pure white light and shaped like a heart, a small lever that is completely black and looks very ordinary. The power of good and the power of evil emanated from the white circle and the black scale respectively. The 2 powers intertwined with each other, arousing the greed in the heart of the dark demon evil god tiger. Endless greed is revealed unabashedly in its scarlet eyes. The dark demon evil god tiger is the representative beast of the god of evil walking in the world. The 2 artifacts in front of it, the scales of judgment and its original power, are of the same origin, and the kindness and the scales of judgment complement each other. God knows how much it wants to swallow these 2 artifacts in one gulp and absorb the power of the 2 artifacts to grow rapidly. But the dark demon evil god tiger has the intention of committing a crime, but not the courage to do so. The god of evil is still alive and well in the god realm, and it can only follow the tasks assigned to it by the evil divine power suppressing the greed in his heart. The dark demon evil god tiger opened his mouth and spit out more a black round bead. It was the evil god bead formed by the evil origin power in his body. The judgment scales were drawn by the power of Hongjun, and with a kind heart, They transformed into two streams of light and merged into the evil god pearl. After swallowing the evil god pearl, the dark demon evil god tiger spread its evil god wings and let out a deafening tiger roar. The next moment, the power of the three elements of space, wind and thunder emerged on the wings of the evil god. The dark demon evil god tiger flapped its wings and flew away, instantly disappearing into the valley, heading to the continent to look for the inheritors of the two major thrones of good and evil. End of this chapter. Chapter 150 Legend of the Gods. At 3 o'clock in the morning, dusk was just beginning to fall on the outskirts of Xiandao City. There is a manor where the Pazi clan lives in the classical and elegant living room. Yang Wudi, Duuluo, Mengshu and several others were gathered here. This was the first time such a late-night summons had taken place since their surrender. Although they didn't know what mission they would be assigned during this call-up, they most likely believe the reason for the call-up was related to the meteor shower at midnight. Meteor showers occur on the continent every dozens or hundreds of years. They are rare but not uncommon. They are recorded in the documents of all major sects and families, and there are more than one example. However, the meteor shower that appears tonight is unusual. The incomparable brilliance illuminated the night sky of the entire world, although it was only for a moment. But this kind of thing had never happened before. What surprised them even more was that the trajectory of the meteor shower changed halfway, and the 26 meteors scattered in all directions and disappeared in the night sky in an instant, with no one knowing where they fell. On the continent in a corner of the living room, everyone was sitting around a table. The old butler Yu Yuan sat in the first seat and looked at everyone. Everyone. You should have seen the meteor shower at midnight. Hearing this, everyone nodded in response. Since they acquired Zhuangshengguang, they rarely slept after nightfall, and instead practiced Zhuangshengguang instead of sleeping. This method of practice, which far surpasses meditation, still makes them addicted to it and unable to extricate themselves. Even after several months, the soul power circulates in the 12 meridians along a unique trajectory. The balance and peace cultivated in Zhuangshengguang constantly nourishes the meridians and the countless tiny hidden injuries on the body during the practice. After several months of practice, with a strong foundation of soul power, each of them has opened up at least one of the 8 extraordinary meridians. After opening up the 8 extraordinary meridians, the improvements in all aspects of the body made them more obsessed with practicing Zhuangshengguang, simply because this method gave them hope of practicing to a higher level compared to the concentration of meditation. Practicing exercises can devote more mental energy to perceiving external situations. When the meteor shower shone in the night sky at midnight, the bright and dazzling light naturally woke them up from their cultivation. Very good, I will make it short. The old butler relayed the young master's words to them concisely. Tonight's meteor shower is related to the gods, and it involves the inheritance of the gods, and your mission is to find them. The inheritance of the gods? These 4 words exploded in everyone's mind like thunder. They all came from a family of soul masters, so they had naturally heard of the legend of becoming a god at level 100, becoming a god after reaching level 100, but isn't this just a legend? Yang Wudi, the most straightforward person among the crowd, asked a question in his mind. Could it be that there really are gods in this world? Of course. Duuluo, who was sitting next to Yang Wudi, had a gleam in his eyes, as if he was recalling something. The ancestor of the Jin family lineage of the Wuhan Hall is a god who has achieved godhood at level 100. The inherited martial soul of the Jin family, the 6-winged angel, is the god-level martial soul passed down by the angel god. In addition, the Jin family of the Spirit Hall has a complete set of soul bones called Angel God Suit. The age of each piece is 99,999 years, which is only 1 year away from 100,000 years old. Yang, why do you think the Spirit Hall is the most powerful force on the continent, and why all the successive popes of the Spirit Hall are from the Jin family? After Duuluo finished speaking, he thought of the current pope of the Spirit Hall and added, of course, Bi Bidong is an exception. The legend of becoming a god at level 100 was confirmed. Everyone else was amazed, except Yang Wudi because of the hatred towards the Spirit Hall in his heart. Yang Wudi did not show any surprise on his face that the legend had been confirmed, but instead his face was full of resentment. The Spirit Hall has the inheritance of gods, and those meteors also contain the inheritance of gods. If we obtain the inheritance of the gods, we will have enough capital to compete with the Spirit Hall. Mr. Not only did the Lord know that the meteors contained the inheritance of the gods, but he also summoned us here overnight. Could it be that he knew the whereabouts of those meteors? Yang Wudi hurriedly finished his words, his tone mixed with hatred for the spirit hall and anticipation for the whereabouts of the divine inheritance. Upon hearing this, the others all turned their eyes to the old butler under the expectant gazes of everyone. The old butler shook his head slightly, then took out a white peony with several blood-red petals from the soul guide. At this moment, the power of the god of love emanating from the white peony is no longer as strong as before, but the pure white color of the power is already clearly visible, making the white peony look even more ethereal. The power of the god of love spread to everyone, and they suddenly felt as if they were in a warm and comfortable ocean of love. Looking at the special white peony in front of him, Yang Wudi recognized its name the moment he saw it. This is Acacia Heartbreak Red. But the white light released by this white peony? As far as I can remember, there is no record of it in the classics. There was a hint of doubt in Yang Wudi's tone of certainty. He was almost certain that the white peony in front of him was the Acacia Heartbreak Red, which was known as the king of fairy products. But he couldn't understand the pure white light no matter how hard he tried, as the person involved was in the dark. Yang Wudi fell into a dead end of thinking, but the others were not. They all guessed that this white peony must be related to the inheritance of the gods. This white peony is called Acacia Heartbroken Red, and it is a fairy quality herb. The old housekeeper held the stalk of the white peony and slowly explained to everyone, as a holy flower that symbolizes the purest and most sincere love, the power of the Acacia Heartbroken Red comes from the god of love. The little bit of iris power hidden in the Acacia Heartbreak Red was awakened by tonight's meteor shower. The pure white light outside the white peony is the power of Iris. With the guidance of the power of the god of love, you can find the inheritance of the god of love by holding this white peony. Afterwards, the old butler handed the white peony in his hand to Yang Wudi in front of everyone present. Patriarch Yang, you are proficient in pharmacology and have sufficient knowledge of immortal products. The task of finding the inheritance of the god of love is left to you. Yang Wudi took the white peony, and his obsession and enthusiasm for the herb immediately suppressed his hatred towards the spirit hall. Please tell Mr. Yu that Yang promises to complete the task. After getting it, the light weight of the white peony made him look down. The area below the rhizome was bare, and the Wuju stone recorded in the ancient books was nowhere to be seen. Only blood containing the purest and most sincere love can make the Acacia Heartbreak Red fall off the Wuju stone. Now there is no Wuju stone under the roots of the white peony, which means that this fairy product has recognized its master. With the purest and most sincere love, who could have picked the Acacia Heartbreak Red from the black stone? Is it that gentleman? Or is it this old butler in front of us? End of this chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.